This is the story of one man, one chef, and a city. Also, it's about France and a lot of other chefs, and a culinary tradition that grew up to change the world of gastronomy. It's about a family tree, about the trunk from which many branches grew. And it's about food, lots of food, great food, some of the greatest food on earth.
I took a walk through this beautiful world, felt the cool rain on my shoulder, found something good in this beautiful world. I felt the rain getting colder. Sha-la-la-la-la, sha-la-la-la-la-la, sha-la-la-la-la, sha-la-la-la-la-la.
What is it exactly about this place? Over the past century, the system here, the tradition, whatever it is that took hold here, churned out a tremendous number of the world's most important chefs. Point, Chapelle, Trois Gros, Bocuse, and as importantly, influenced nearly all the rest of them.
Why Lyon? Why is this such a gastronomic capital, though? I mean, why Bocuse here? Why Trois Gros here? Why all of these great chefs?
Because Lyon is it's really positioned between the north and the south.
Right.
You are locked in between Burgundy and Rhone.
Lyon, it's the second largest city in France, situated in the southeast of the country, midway between the Alps in the east and the Mediterranean to the south.
This was also a bottleneck when cars became the mode of transportation.
It goes right to the heart of the idea of the Michelin, driving the destination on the way to the...
Completely.
Out of that system came chefs like this guy, Daniel Boulud. Like Prince or Madonna, he needs really only one name, in New York or anywhere in the chef world, Daniel. The name of his three-star eponymous restaurant in Manhattan, one of many in an empire that stretches from London to Singapore. He came from here, a farm outside the city of Lyon, through the city's great kitchens to Le Cirque in New York, then his flagship.
So when did you start working with food?
14 years old, 1969.
Uh-huh.
I started as an apprentice in Lyon.
He started, as so many French cooks of his time did, at the very bottom, as a 14-year-old apprentice in the restaurant Nandron.
What was your first job in the kitchen?
They used to call me the beaver because I was just washing every single day. You know, they make you clean the vegetable, they make you carry all the boxes from the market.
14. You can't do that anymore, can you?
I don't think you can make him work 12 hours a day.
Right.
And pay him maybe $1 a month, you know what I mean? That's,
the good old days.
yeah, well.
Why Lyon? Why here? Look at the fundamentals, the things the Lyonnais think of as birthrights. The right, for instance, to eat delicious cured pork in unimaginably delicious forms.
The art of charcuterie, Lyonnais can't live without it.
Look at this.
Terrine, pâté, sausages, rillettes. It's an art that's revered here and widely enjoyed.
Monsieur Renaud.
Bonjour,
Merci.
avec grand plaisir.
Tony.
Bonjour, monsieur.
Tony, voilà.
Tony.
And few names garner more respect from aficionados of pig than Renaud.
Alors, on hache le saucisson à cuire, là, en ce moment.
20 tons of saucisson just inside this room. The holiday are coming, and they're going mad with the production of saucisson.
Right.
In a relentlessly cold room, pork shoulder, belly, and fatback are fed in batches through a vertical chopper. A sprinkling of seasoning and spices.
Almost comme ça.
Removed in large balls of finely but not too finely chopped meat. You do not want to get your hand caught in one of these things. Then mixed to a smooth perfection with the dough hook.
Man up.
A lot of work.
Spread out and layered for consistent seasoning, formed into shapes, and smacked to remove air bubbles.
Make sure the meat gets really tight.
Into the sausage machine and piped into organic casings. Trust me, it ain't easy.
No, Anthony. Very light touch.
Let's see there, wise guy. Come on, let's see this. That's how you get pregnant.
It's all in the knee.
Yeah.
Just release at the end.
It's a serious workplace, but with production nearly done, this being France and all, it's time for a snack and some wine.
Doing what I'm good at, eating.
This is the saucisson à cuire.
This is so good.
Là, le sabaudet. Le vrai sabaudet, c'est ça.
Sabaudet, another of Lyon's most famous sausages, is made primarily from pig's head, with pork belly, pork shoulder, brandy, nutmeg, and allspice mixed in for flavor.
This always cooked, served hot?
Yeah.
Oh, man, that's good.
That's what we're gonna eat with my father.
Oh, yeah?
I'm gonna get some here of the skin.
Saucisson de Lyon, le vrai saucisson de Lyon. Voilà, peut-être un peu trop.
He knows he does really good work.
Huh?
He knows how good his stuff is, you know? Cheers. Ah, nice. It's a beautiful day in Lyon.
Yeah.
In Lyon, a city that believes absolutely in the power of food, one name is everywhere. A name that brought honor, attention, and millions of visitors to the city. Though there have been many chef heroes in the annals of gastronomy, in Lyon and even across France, one name stands above all others. Murals, bridges, markets, casual brasserie, the name of Monsieur Paul is everywhere. But one of his most enduring institutions is this, l'Institut Bocuse, one of the nation's great culinary schools. Now, just to give you an idea of the standards here, the kind of traditional dishes, baseline, old school fundamentals you're expected to master before you move on to becoming a creative genius all your own, meet these guys. Mathieu Vianney, Joseph Viola, and the Institute's top dog, Alain Le Cossec, chefs and MOFs all, otherwise known as muffs.
Pretty much pay your flight home, private.
Master chefs.
Every 4 years, they have this MOF competition.
MOF is...
Meilleur ouvrier de France.
The master craftsmen of France.
There's about 30 disciplines of craftsmen where you can acquire the MOF.
See that red, white, and blue around their necks? That means they made it through the brutally, unreasonably rigorous competition that pits hundreds of top chefs against each other, where only a handful survive.
So it's basically 4 or 5 every 4 years.
Certified by the highest in the land as being at the very top of their professions. Muff challenges often include ultra old school classics not unlike the one we're making today. Poularde en vessie. Thick slices of black truffle are slipped under the skin of a chicken from Bresse, the Rolls-Royce of chickens. It's then tied, slipped inside a pig's bladder, and steamed in court bouillon until tender.
The idea is to concentrate the flavor of the truffle inside the bladder. The dish they choose, it's always in reference to a chef of the past. And this was a dish La Mère Brasier was doing.
The at times brutal world of the Michelin-starred kitchen looks much of the time like a boys' club. But where did they come from? If we track back a bit to where it all began for Lyon and for many of the chefs whose names we now know and look up to, it all goes back to here. La Mère Brasier, the godmother, the original master, teacher, chef, force. 2 restaurants with 3 Michelin stars, an achievement no one, male or female, had ever attained, and for many years, Lyon's most famous chef. Her influence runs right through every kitchen that's come since, and her graduates carry on her recipes and her traditions. This was one of hers, a signature.
For the next hour, you keep putting hot bouillon like this. The most miserable thing is when the bladder explodes.
It's never a good thing when a bladder explodes.
As the chicken cooks, the bladder starts to really expand. You have to talk to your bladder.
I do all the time, believe me. Please hold up, please hold up. You're not here. People are looking. Wait till you get in between cars.
A rather luxurious sauce of more, much more black truffle and generous amounts of foie gras and triple cream. Perfect.
Nice milkshake.
Slightly pink around the legs, but cooked through, the flesh perfumed by the generous slices of truffle.
Who gets to eat like this? We do.
How is it, Tony?
It is divine.
You see the perfect balance in the sauce. If I was a chicken, that's the way I would like to end up.
Even if I weren't a chicken, I'd want to go like this. Die surrounded by truffles and foie gras and fine wine. Bonté et merci.
The roaring of a powerful engine, the screech of rubber, and off we go, kings of the road in our Citroën 2 Chevaux. 2 horsepower classic.
No power steering, huh?
No kidding.
It's like a toy car.
We're going back in time a bit, to the area where Danielle grew up, where life was very different from New York.
Were you the misfit of the family? Rebellious or...
I was quite rebellious. My parents were talking to me about the idea of taking over the farm. As the oldest son, that would have been the logical thing.
Right.
And,
But the farmer's life was not for you.
No.
He grew up in a true farm family. You milked the cows, tended the animals. Danielle claims he never even saw processed food until he was a teenager.
Oh.
Il est à la poubelle, ta voiture. J'en ai des garbage, tu vois.
A brief respite by the side of the road, and some passers-by are apparently less appreciative of fine automobiles than we are. A short consultation with an automotive professional, and we're back on the road. Back, in this case, to school. This was Danielle's old elementary school in the nearby town of Saint-Pierre-de-Chandieu. I am automatically taken back to memories of my own school days. The smell of caustic pine cleaner, chalkboards, and fear. The cruel ministrations of tiny-eyed lunch ladies slopping can loads of prison chow into steam tables. Chipped beef, tuna noodle surprise, and powdered mashed potatoes that haunt my sense memories still.
Pumpkin soup today with onion, nutmeg, and chicken stock, but basic good pumpkin soup.
This is Marie, head chef, cook, host, and server for 320 hungry and very discriminating French school children ages 3 to 12. On the menu prix today, a pumpkin soup, a fresh blanquette de poisson with white wine, vanilla, and shallot, served with homemade couscous, and a sauce supreme.
This is a very sophisticated meal for children.
That's a nice meal.
I was a little shit in school, frankly.
Yeah.
And like a lot of the other students, we were like, I want pizza, pizza, pizza. Are the children here open to variety?
Oui, beaucoup. Enfin, ils aiment bien, ils mangent très bien.
You want to make sure that they always get a little challenged by how the food looks, then the smell, and also the taste after.
I think she has a very strict budget.
In the USA, greatest country in the world, no doubt, we spend an average of $2.75 per student for public school lunch. Compare and contrast.
€1,05 maximum.
$1.50.
Did you eat this well when you were here?
Absolutely.
Je m'appelle Tony. Bonjour. Bonjour.
Bonjour, Daniel. Ça va?
The kids attack their food like hungry trenchermen, wiping out 3 servings in the time it takes me to eat 1. I guess they like it.
It's good.
Delicious.
Well, yeah, this is good.
I tell you, I don't think my chef in New York will do better.
I love they cook with wine, too. You're going to jail for that in the States.
Exactly, I'm making the sauce.
Crap, these kids eat fast. But look how fast this kid eats. Turn your head, they'll eat your soup right out of your plate. My school lunchroom, you pushed up your tray just like in prison. Stop.
Here.
Move it along. Stop.
Yeah, here
Move it along.
they come to you and serve you. Most important thing, and that we see here, is the love Mary gives to the food she makes and to the kids she serves. I think it has a lot to do with the reaction they have to food.
Dessert is homemade fromage blanc, farmer cheese, with chocolate and orange segments.
What do you want to be when you grow up? Yeah, veterinarian. Fireman. Et toi, tu veux quoi? Engineering, machine gun.
He wants to make machine guns?
Engineer in machine gun, yeah.
Okay, keep an eye on that one. All right.
For a dope fiend, feeding the monkey means finding and sticking with heroin. For one poor guy, it's this: French food, in particular, Lyonnais food. The cautionary tale of Bill Buford. Writer, editor, literary lion with a perfectly good job as fiction editor at the prestigious New Yorker magazine. At the undignified age of 53, he pretty much pulled up stakes, put his whole past life on hold, and defected to France to learn how to cook.
What happened to you anyway, Buford? You used to have a good job. You hang out a couple of nights with Batali, and then next thing you know, you're living in France.
It's true.
And cooking.
I discovered a whole world that the rest of the world didn't seem to know about. Just a very compressed, intense, lifelong learned expertise and knowledge of food. It's not the Food Network, and it's not glossy magazines, and it's not something you get from reading a recipe book. It's something you get by just going deep. And I was afraid of France because I knew if I took on the subject of French food, I'd have to go really deep. So we went, and we thought we'd stay for 6 months, and we stayed for 5 years.
We meet at Bouchon Comptoir à Belle. A bouchon is a uniquely Lyonnais institution, a casual, laid-back kind of a pub/bistro with a limited, usually old-school menu and always an unpretentious vibe. People come here to unwind, to relax, and to eat with abandon.
So you say outright recently in one of your published works that Lyon is better than Paris.
Lyon is a dark, tragic, beautiful, well-eating city, and everybody here knows that they have a really good life, and they don't give a flying fig if anybody else knows about it, because they don't actually want visitors.
If you were to pick one iconic dish to represent the Bouchon Lyonnais, it would have to be the quenelle brochet. And not particularly fabulous river fish, pike, folded into a light dough like pâte choux until fluffy and airy but still rich, adrift in a rich, creamy, almost bisque-like Nantua sauce made with crayfish, creme fraiche, white wine, and a splash of brandy.
Pretty amazing for really one of the world's less wonderful fish.
It's kind of a nice mix of France and Italy.
Cheers.
Cheers,
Guys,
gentlemen.
good to see you.
What a treat to meet together in Lyon.
If you're really going to understand a place, love it the way it deserves to be loved, maybe you have to live there. Bill Buford did just that and made Lyon his home. Today he's taking me somewhere only someone from the home team could be expected to know about.
It's a beautiful day. The sky is blue. We're feeling the seasons changing, and we're about to go into a dark room, and you eat a very Lyonnaise menu, and you drink a vast quantity of Lyonnaise wine.
And what sinister bodies will be in there?
The only kind of people who would do this kind of thing on a bright, pretty day. It's a very male tradition. You work hard, you drink harder.
Don't be afraid.
Don't be afraid.
The mysterious, fabulous, goofy, wonderful bro-fests called franc-maçons. These are basically eating and drinking societies that go back over a century, when the silk workers of Lyon would finish their night shifts early in the morning. Hungry and looking to get, shall we say, completely hammered, they'd take over a bouchon, stuff their faces like heroes, blow off the proverbial steam in decidedly French fashion. Which is to say, no freaking Italian nachos or mozzarella sticks for these boys. Hell no.
How often do you do this?
8 times a year.
It's a very Lyonese thing, societies, some secret, all of them sort of like special memberships. There must be like 50 of these things that I know about. Remember, if you're invited to be a member and remain a member for the rest of your life.
The food is invariably deliciously dinosauric, and heavy yet always glorious classics like blanquette de veau, the slow, slowly stewed neck and shoulder pieces of veal with mushrooms served over rice. Hunks of bread and wine, local Beaujolais of course, and lots of it.
Santé.
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 No woman. That's all. No politics, no religion. And it works. For 50 years. Yes.
Do women have Michelin, their own organizations?
Yes.
There are. So somewhere on the other side of town, there are a lot of women sitting around drinking wine, eating blanquette, and bitching about the men. Uh-oh.
And then there will be, yes, singing, and no doubt the telling of lusty jokes, followed by serious official business.
Buffet. Il n'avait ni riche buffet, ni verre de Venise. Et il buvait à tonneau. Comme les fous, mon bleu, bien autrement que nous.
Alongside, and some say above the names of the other culinary giants in and around Lyon, is the name Trois Gros. Started by the visionary brothers Jean and Pierre, Maison Trois Gros received 3 Michelin stars in 1968 and sparked a dynasty of culinary excellence that continues today with Pierre's son Michel and his son César.
My dream was always to put Maison Trois Gros on my resume. It's my first day chez Trois Gros.
Anthony, bonjour.
Bonjour.
Comment allez-vous?
Très bien.
Many have called Maison Trois Gros the best restaurant in the world, and in the 60s, the brothers Pierre and Jean were early, important, and fundamental innovators of what came to be known as Nouvelle Cuisine. Behold one of their breakout classics, one of the truly game-changing, timeless, most influential dishes in history. It seems now, maybe, a simple thing, but it absolutely turned the world upside down when it debuted on the Trois Gros menu in 1962.
I mean, when you have a dish this legendary, this iconic, there's no escaping. The Rolling Stones will always have to play Jumping Jack Flash. If you Google Trois Gros, you'll see this name.
So forget everything you have on Google. Watch it now.
Before this, fish was generally overcooked. It was served alongside elaborate garnishes, starches, vegetables. This simple, elegant, almost Japanese ode to flavor changed the way we cook fish in restaurants today, and how we make sauces, what our plates look like.
I remember seeing a picture of this as a young man. I'm getting goosebumps seeing this. Thrilling. Perfect.
Beautiful.
It's all about the timing. The moment you put the fish on the pan, the moment you put the soda on the sauce, it's very important. Okay.
Wow, go. All right.
Then, from now to you in the dining room, it will take about 1 minute.
Right.
So, the 1 minute is the time to have it perfect.
Because it's cooking all the way.
Look at the cuisson.
Oh, perfect. It's a perfect dish.
Sinful and delicious.
It's really one of the great ideas of the 20th century.
Sensual.
Sexy.
When in Lyon, one can't help but see a line from there, from the rustic dishes of the farm and the bouchon, to here, the classics of the great tables of Europe. All roads lead here. A major trunk of the tree that goes back to Carême and beyond. Monsieur Paul Bokus. The brigade, the way it is done and has always been done since Escoffier instituted a military-style hierarchy into the kitchen, where the only acceptable response to any question or any command is "Oui, chef." This is the Special Forces, the SAS of cooking. And these cooks live to avoid, under any circumstances, disappointing their comrades, the hierarchy, or Monsieur Paul. Danielle worked here, and so have many, many who have gone on to run their own celebrated kitchens.
Hello, comment ça va? Vous allez bien?
In the 70s, as a young wannabe cook, I managed to lay hands on a French copy of Paul Bokus' classic cookbook, La Cuisine de Marché. And I gaped with wonder at the photos, struggled to translate the descriptions of dishes so fantastic I was quite sure I'd never, ever in my life cook, much less eat.
Paul.
If you could please say how honored and grateful I am to be here. This is a dream come true.
Paul, tu sais qu'il est très honoré.
Avec plaisir.
Over the years, how many great chefs have come through this restaurant and gone on to open great restaurants?
Beaucoup.
Oui.
C'est pas, mais pas mal. Ce qui est formidable, il y en a un peu dans le monde entier. Je dis quand je voyage, j'en trouve toujours un.
You always have a child somewhere around the world because everywhere he goes around the world.
But Bocuse, too, is and was a part of the system. He came up with his own cruel and terrifying masters, and their faces are here.
L'histoire pour Paul, ses inspirations. Et...
Fernand Point, the towering and intimidating figure behind La Pyramide. Out of his kitchens came such figures as Alain Chapelle, Michel Guérard, François Bise, Roger Verger, Georges Perrier, the brothers Trois Gros, and many more.
This was all the gang of the Nouvelle Cuisine up there. The 60s in New York. And Paul and Michel Guérard.
Every great chef I've ever met has nightmares. They're still a young man. They're back in a kitchen, and a chef is yelling at them. Who of his masters?
Peut-être la mère Brasier.
La mère Brasier. The woman. Really?
Oui.
La Mère Brasier. In the year 1946, at the ripe old age of 20, Monsieur Paul worked as an apprentice for Brasier.
She was such a screamer. You say, you will fall on your ass. She was screaming so hard.
Première levée
She was the first up in the morning
et dernière couchée.
and the last one to go to bed. She will go to the market with 3 cooks in the back of the truck, and she will put a case of green beans or something, and the cook will be sitting down, making the beans not to waste time for the rest of the mise en place.
Truly a terrifying figure.
Truffle soup, Élysée. I can't tell you how many hours I stared at photos of this dish, how pathetically I tried to replicate it. Never, ever did I think I'd get to try it, much less like this. Loup en croûte feuilletée avec sauce choron. Sea bass with a tomato béarnaise sauce baked in a meticulously crafted millefeuille crust.
This is a great moment.
Ils ont que 3 caméras.
Yeah, you only have 3 cameras? Or...
The fish is filled with a delicate lobster mousse, chervil, and tarragon, then wrapped carefully in pastry. Notice, please, the careful and expert tableside carving and service.
Nous, ça fait 50 ans qu'on fait les mêmes plats.
He has been making the same thing for 50 years. Paul has an amazing respect for classic.
A pot au feu, the peasant classic.
Tony, get closer.
You were totally sending me every one of those pictures,
Yeah,
by the way. Wow, look at that. This style of dish goes back long before cameras, but it's perfect. Is there a more perfect assortment of colors and textures?
In this one, a somewhat more luxurious version. Beef shanks, flank steak, oxtail, veal shanks, chicken, marrow bones, beef ribs, leeks, carrots, turnips, fennel, and parsnips, all stewed long and at low temperature, then served with its own deeply rich broth.
I think it's enough for the two of us.
And then this.
Oh my God.
Messieurs, le lièvre à la royale.
As if the chef had been listening to my deepest, darkest secret yearnings. The legendary vièvre à la royale, an almost completely disappeared, incredibly difficult preparation of wild hare. The animal is first slowly cooked, then coated by a sauce of its own minced heart, liver, and lungs that has been thickened with its own blood. After more than 6 hours of preparation, the hare is served as the chef prefers, whole, on the bone. The rich, glorious sauce finished with truffles and chartreuse, napped over and over until it coats like richest chocolate. Absolutely the lost ark of the covenant of cuisine ancienne.
Everything great about cooking is encapsulated in this dish.
We will continue all over the world to make cuisine of Paul, many generations to come.
Forever. I will never eat like this again in my life. Chef, merci.
J'étais très heureux de vous recevoir.
The meal of my life.
Today, I was treated to the greatest hits of a glorious and fabled career. For the first and probably the last time, I sat next to the great man himself, and Danielle and I were served a menu that chefs will look back on in 100 years and smile at appreciatively, sentimentally, respectfully. So, me and Danielle were going hunting, and over lunch we'd mentioned that fact to Paul Bokus, who immediately insisted that if we wanted to go duck hunting, we should come by his crib. And so we find ourselves in the morning mist of Les Dômes, a rural area about a half hour outside Lyon. And sure enough, in spite of his 88 years and the fact that he's been less than well, 9 a.m. on the nose, there he is, sitting on top of his beloved John Deere with his faithful dog Festin ready to go.
Nice, fresh morning.
Yeah, I was just thinking, the smell is beautiful. That dog is happy.
The great chef loves this place, and you can see why. Monsieur Paul can't safely hunt, but he's happy to charge around flushing birds for us.
Beautiful. Yeah, it is beautiful. I could do this all day. That was about as good as we're gonna get, too.
You got bulletproof or wild boar?
If you look long enough, you start hallucinating. You start hallucinating ducks where there aren't any.
You see that one falling?
Okay, not a moment to waste. Quickly, a second shot.
Okay.
You got it?
Yeah.
Allez,
Right there.
Là-bas.
sous le pont. Festin.
Oh, Festin. Là, là, là.
Between me and Danielle and Festin the dog, we managed to actually bag a few ducks.
Good job. Donne là. Yalla, Festin.
Very good.
But easy shot.
Then it's back to the lodge, clearly Bocuse's happy place, where we meet up with some hunting buddies of the great chef.
You did a good job, no? Qu'est-ce que t'en penses, Tony?
Success.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Is this the hunting lodge, the weekend getaway, hang out with the guys?
That's where you come every day, almost. Hein? Tu viens pratiquement ici tous les jours.
Un peu moins maintenant, mais autrement tout le temps.
Yeah, a little
Il y a
bit less.
toujours- on piège beaucoup.
Look the picture behind. You see?
For tonight's meal, we pluck and roast some woodcocks over an open fire. Cook up some well-aged duck and pheasant.
They made this at the Auberge Paul Bokus. It's a Swiss star mashed potato here.
Is it predominantly butter or predominantly potato?
Ooh.
Do you have a head in there somewhere?
Yes, of course. Yeah, no.
That's perfect happiness right there. My father used to say, I am a man of simple needs. And I noticed that the chef is a nice fire, some birds.
We can spend the whole week with Paul, and we'll be hunting, we'll be cooking, we'll be eating, drinking, and talking, and that's beautiful. Ah ouais, en plus.
Life is good.
It is for me a dream to spend this time with a legend. But I'm thrilled that Bocuse too seems genuinely delighted.
Le rougeau. The duck you shot was a rougeau. You see, is the one behind you on the top there? Yeah.
In Lyon, well across France, he's Monsieur Paul. He's the great chef, a public figure, a hero, an institution, always treated with the greatest deference. Here it appears he's free to enjoy the simple things with friends and local farmers who talk to him like anybody else. It's a pretty damn magical thing to see.
La lumière bleue des magasins.
Daniel may be a 3-star Michelin chef, but like so many of his predecessors, he's basically a farm boy at heart. He grew up milking cows and doing farm work here on his family's spread. There is, it turns out, something of a restaurant tradition to build on. The house on his farm was once a small cafe as well, operated first by his grandparents and great-grandparents. The famous Café Boulou, it turns out, was not the first place to bear that name.
They kept it about 80 years or 100 years, and then they closed it.
Voilà. 5 minutes, et parfait. No.
Meeting Daniel's dad, one begins to understand the roots of his perfectionism.
Bien calculé, hein?
Très bien calculé.
His mom, dad, wife Catherine, and Danielle collaborate.
Attends. Oui.
With some debate.
Il y a mais un petit peu au milieu encore.
On a super old-school farmhouse classic. The sort of thing that good times, bad times, a family could make with stuff that's always readily available on the farm. Check this out. It's a hollowed-out pumpkin layered with toasted hunks of stale country bread, which Monsieur Boulou Sr. bakes himself. Nutmeg, grated Gruyere cheese, mushrooms, fresh cream from the cows, and the meat of the pumpkin.
And a layer of bacon also. Homemade pancetta. Very good. Oh man, it's heavy.
Tiens, repasser. Oui, voilà. Attention, pas de salir.
We made it.
Is he concerned that the pumpkin's going to try to get out?
Daniel's dad could be something of a Gallic MacGyver. You don't waste stuff around here, and he's a bit of an inventor anyway.
How much would you pay for a machine like this?
Look at this. An old washing machine turned still.
What the hell is that?
Regarde, une fois que c'est commencé, ça va.
So underneath we have the grap, but to seal it so there is no air coming in, there's cement on top. It's not distilled yet, it's just fermented.
Leftover grape solids from the winemaking process usually used to make liquor like grappa. Today, a different use. If we can get it out of here.
Think like, why did you put so much cement on it?
L'odeur.
This is funky. Super.
We'll be using this delightfully funky stuff to flavor the steam that cooks the vegetables and the sabadé sausages from Monsieur Renan inside the still.
And we come back in an hour.
At dusk, we settle for dinner.
Oh la la!
Oh, look at that.
Here is the pumpkin.
Incredible. Look at that. Wow.
The pumpkin is amazing. We also have that great sabodé sausage from Monsieur Renaud.
Oh, look at that. Whoa.
Cabbage and potatoes, all steamed in the still.
The flavor you get from the fermented grape, awesome.
Yeah, it's awesome, huh?
But good. So good.
And if you know Daniel at all, he can't really help himself. He's popping up and down, serving everybody, making sure everything's just right. And sitting here with his family in the house he grew up in, you can see where it all comes from.
Madame and Monsieur, their son, he's now gigantic international success. When he was a young man at 14 sneezing in the field, did they ever anticipate this?
Du tout,
No? No early indications of greatness? But I mean, there is a line, isn't there, from the farm and haute cuisine. They all reflect the region, hopefully.
Yeah.
But in the best case, they're interdependent. They come from each other. In fact, who cooks in the great restaurants? Well, farm boys, basically.
Yeah.
That's who always cook. My deepest thanks to your mother and your father. Thank you.
Merci. Next time, my father make you drive the tractor.
Where is home? Most of us are born with the answer. Others have to sift through the pieces.
I took a walk through this beautiful world. Felt the cool rain on my shoulder. Found something good in this beautiful world. I felt the rain getting colder. Sha-la-la-la-la, 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 sha-la-la-la-la.
አዲስ አበባ አየሩ ደመናማ ነው። ነገር ግን በዚህ ሙዚቃ የበለጠ ልናበራው ነው። በማዳመጥ ላላችሁት ፕሮግራም ነው። እየሰማችሁን ስለሆነ ከልብ እናመሰግናለን።
Admit it. You hear the name Ethiopia and you think starving children with distended bellies. You think dust and famine and despair so awful, you frankly don't want to even think about it anymore. But take a look. Addis Ababa, capital city of Ethiopia. A cool, high-altitude urban center that will both confirm and confound expectations. Fueled largely by direct foreign investment and a returning Ethiopian diaspora eager to be part of the new growth, things are changing in Addis. It's one of the fastest growing economies in the world. It's not the first time the place has gone through a growth spurt. In the 1950s, Emperor Haile Selassie, known as the King of Kings, embarked on a similar program of massive public works. This was supposed to be the legacy of Ethiopia, the future. But the next time Ethiopia found itself in the headlines, it was for this. And for many of us, that was the end of the story.
So I'm looking forward to this week.
I can't wait to show you Ethiopia.
I've been waiting for you. I mean, I'll tell you right now.
We couldn't have picked a better time because we have old Ethiopia right here, and we also have new Ethiopia right here. And that's like, that combo is going to be so cool.
Marcus Samuelsson. Maybe you know him from such shows as a lot of them, or his many restaurants, his best-selling memoir, his status as America's most recognizable black chef. But Marcus isn't African-American. He's Swedish-American or Ethiopian Swedish-American, or look, it's complicated. What is true to say is that Marcus Samuelsson, like his wife Maya, was born here in Ethiopia.
So, when was the last time you were in Ethiopia?
4 years ago, and you can tell it's changed a lot.
I'm interested in seeing an African country that was never colonized. It was never taken by Europe.
No, that sense of pride, and you really hit the nail on the head. I mean, that sense of pride is also the sense of that everyone wants to come back.
How does it feel coming back? Is it weird at all? You feel like you're coming home?
It is weird, but end of the day, I always love it. I miss it. One foot of me is like just Ethiopian, but then the other foot is just so Swedish or American at this point, right?
You do not speak the language here, Amharic or any of the dialects.
No.
You've since come back and you've reconnected with family.
Yeah.
But it must be weird. I mean,
it is.
You need a translator.
No, but I need a translator. My wife is not my translator in life and in culture and so many things. But I think when you're a black man, when you're an immigrant, when you're Ethiopian, when you're Sweden, I've been put in so many situations that I put myself into. So I'm actually very comfortable in being uncomfortable.
In the 1970s, Ethiopia was hit with a tuberculosis epidemic. Marcus, his older sister Fante, and his mom were all stricken with the disease. With no possibility of medical attention in their village, facing the almost inevitable death of both her children, Marcus's mom set out on foot with her daughter at her side and 2-year-old Marcus on her back, walking 75 miles to the Swedish hospital in Addis. Against all odds, they made it. Marcus and Fantai recovered. Their mother did not. Marcus and his sister were adopted by Anne-Marie and Leonard Samuelsson and raised from that point on in Sweden. Ethiopia, its language, its food, its cultures was largely a mystery. Marcus traveled and trained, apprenticing in some of the great kitchens of Europe. He moved to New York and at the remarkably young age of 23 received 3 stars from the New York Times at his groundbreaking restaurant, Aquavit. It's been a pretty stellar rise since then. And in 2010, he opened Red Rooster in Harlem.
I always find it so paradox that I was born into very little food, but yet sort of I've made my whole life about food. My sort of structure and pragmatism comes from being raised in Sweden. And my sort of vibrancy and warmth to cooking and field-based food that I love comes definitely from here.
Weirdly enough, the single aspect of Ethiopian culture most Westerners do know a little about is Ethiopian food. So maybe you've had this.
Oh, wow. Now that looks good. That is exciting. What is it?
This is typical Ethiopian vegetarian. They make it really nice.
At Katenga restaurant, they do it classic. Injera bread, that's Ethiopian 101.
I mean, when you think about Ethiopian food, right, the foundation is really the injera bread.
It's not just food, it's an implement.
Yeah.
We're having bianetu, a selection of stews, or wats as they're called around here. That's gomen, sautéed greens, shiro wat, which is a chickpea stew, and tiko gomen, sautéed white cabbage. Many, if not most of the dishes, spiced with the magical, mysterious flavoring of the gods, berbere.
Can I give you one? Like normally they do it. They say gursha.
You have to.
This stuffing of food into your fellow diner's face is called gursha, and it's what you do to show your affection and respect. Try this at the Waffle House sometime and prepare for awkwardness.
Now, when you were born here?
I was born here.
Left what age?
13. I grew up in Holland, and after that we all went to London, Germany, and I'm in New York now. So
I don't want to say it's a rootless existence, but it's a, where's home?
I think for us now, Harlem is really home. But when I've been gone for 2 years, I'm like, I gotta go back because the beat is just so different than It's what Sweden can offer me, and definitely what New York can offer me.
The median age in Ethiopia is under 18. That means most people here don't remember Live Aid or any of that. Coupled with a recent economic boom, this might be the first generation in decades to enjoy a future with real hope. Things are indeed happening. In this case, at a vacant bus stop.
They're Dogtown, man. They're the next generation of Dogtown in Africa, man.
A few years back, a couple of Ethiopians who'd been living abroad returned to Addis with some skateboards. Today, there are a couple hundred skaters in Ethiopia and more on the sidelines waiting for their chance, waiting for a board, waiting for a pair of sneakers.
It's funny though, because like skater boy culture came from white Southern California, suburban. You can pretty much track all of skater culture back to like one parking lot.
Yeah.
So what's coming out of this parking lot?
There are no skateboard shops in Ethiopia. None. They have to come, all of them, from abroad.
Woo! Nice.
Little kid's good.
Little kid is amazing.
For those lucky enough to have them, progression seems to be fast.
This gives me hope, honestly, that this can be a really cool town. Not just a great town with big buildings, you know, but a cool town, too.
For skater boys and television hosts alike, the thing to do in late-night Addis is something called turbo and tips.
I feel like a college party or something like that. It's perfect.
Turbo is a mutant concoction consisting of gin, beer, wine, and Sprite.
What's the first rule of drinking? Don't mix.
Ebenezer Temeskin, Adizu Halimichael, and Buzeo Julien founded Ethiopia Skate, the grassroots skating community that grew up in the parking lots around Addis. Sean Stromso is a founding member who's been documenting the group.
All right, man. My first turbo. Cheers.
It's like apple juice.
You're right.
Sweet. But
It is like apple juice.
Shekla tibs are chunks of beef or lamb fried in oil and served in a charcoal-heated clay pot called a shekla.
Nice. I like the fat line. I love that. They don't hide the fat.
Every Tibbs house has their own version, but here at Messe Grocery, it's served with a spicy dipping sauce called mitmita, and of course, injera bread.
Yeah, that's good. That works. Oh, that's mustard.
You want
There you go. How did this skating community form? I mean, do people watch what other people are doing around the world?
Definitely. Some of them they go to the internet cafe and they just see videos. That's how I started.
Back in the days, no internet for me.
Oh, wow.
I had to do it like the hard way, man.
I would tell you right now, if I were Ethiopian, or if I even lived here, I would open a skate shop tomorrow. So what's the best thing about Ethiopia right now?
I think back in the days, people want to get out from this country, just leave. But now they're like, they just want to work, and their mind has changed. And everybody's working together and working for the better. We're doing this for the next generation, because the next generation is going to take this.
Did we drink all that turbo?
I know.
We're terrible people, man.
Yeah.
We're going to hell. So, time to catch a buzz?
You guys need to be my bodyguard.
No problem. Oh, this place is awesome.
This is a charming Ethiopian institution called a tejbet. They serve one thing and only one thing, tej, an alcoholic beverage made from fermented barley and honey.
It's not highly alcoholic, though, right? You got to pretty much hammer back a lot of this stuff to get a buzz. So basically, the people around here who got a load on, they've been working on this for a long time.
All day. This is a working class. This is where the workers go.
It's a cheap buzz.
It's a cheap buzz. Cheers. You just knock it back.
All right.
It's good, man. You feel the funk?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, it's working, man.
I've never seen a woman in a bar like this.
It's forbidden.
This is sort of a guy thing.
It's my first time, yeah, guys after work or the farmers.
We're breaking major rules here.
And you have all like the saints picture there and you're drinking.
Yeah, there's a lot of Jesus in the bars.
It's the last thing I want to see in a bar, the disapproving gaze of a saint.
In 1992, Addis emerged from the stifling 17-year grip of a hardline, old-school Maoist regime called the Derg. Since then, the town has been enjoying something of a musical renaissance. But the story of Ethiopian music, all the way back to the beginning, has been about finding ways to skirt authority, to mock it even, to say what you want to say one way or the other. Asmari are Ethiopia's original freestyle rappers. They've been around for centuries, voicing criticism, dissatisfaction, dissent, even when others could not.
So, how old?
How old is Asmari Bey? I would say, what, 2,000 years?
Yeah, it's like the first music that we have, right?
The trick is, they've always used a system of lyrical double meanings referred to as wax, meaning the apparent meaning, and gold, which is the underlying or real meaning. Poking fun at the audience is fundamental to the form.
Maya, you gotta help him out. This is where you go. Maya, go. You gotta see the disadvantages about being adopted soon. When she can move and act like, oh, that's when the sweet shows up.
The Asmari influenced Ethiopian popular music too. The use of lyrical double meanings carried through into Selassie's time. They called it swinging Addis, a golden time between 1955 and 1974, before those fun-hating commies came and ruined everything. Post-World War II, Ethiopia was in the delirious thrall of American big band and swing groups like Glenn Miller, and against the backdrop of a traditional and official obsession with military marching bands, you had the means and the will and the environment to make musical magic. And this man, Mahmoud Ahmed, has always been at the forefront.
When you looked to the West, were there American musicians who spoke to you?
የዛን ጊዜ እኔ የኤልቪስ ፕሬስሊን እንትን የተከተልኩት ኢሳን ኩክ ነበረ፣ ጄምስ ብራውን እና ደግሞ ናት ኪንግ ኮል አለ። የዛን ጊዜ እኔ የኤልቪስ ፕሬስሊን እንትን የተከተልኩት ጄል ሃውስ ሮክ የሚለውን ዘፈኑን ሲጫወት የዛን ጊዜ ነው የእግሩን ሼክ እንትን ያደርግ ነበር እና ያንን ነው እኔ የወሰድኩት ከሱ እና እኔ ፈጣን ሙዚቃ ሲጫወት የኔ እግር እንደዛ እንደ ኤልቪስ ሼክ አለ እንትን
Combining elements of jazz, swing, R&B, and distinctive Ethiopian scales and time signatures, and an always killer horn section, well, listen for yourself. Shola Market in Addis Ababa. It's where you come for what you need.
What are we here to buy, by the way? What's the plan?
I want to make Dorowa, really the king of chicken dishes in Ethiopia. All right, so we're going to go head down here, get some good butter. You smell the fermentation, the funk?
Kibe, an Ethiopian butter in various stages of fermentation depending on what you like. It is a primary ingredient in much of the cooking.
So there's between one is really fermented and another one is medium. So she says we should use the medium one for chicken stew. And you use all the spices. So this is the most important thing.
People from Gurage, Maya's tribal area, run the market, so she knows the language and how to negotiate.
I can smell a frightened chicken a mile off. Here we go. Guess how many do we need?
I just think we need 3, it's fine.
My mama done told me, get something for dinner. In this case, chicken. Fresh, please.
See ya, wouldn't want to be ya.
Oh, that's fresh.
I love all the sounds. Like it's like chicken there, music there.
How did he get the skin off?
He just, one move, he did it.
We used to use like a hot boiled water.
Yeah.
After killing it, you
dip them in.
there. That's how I grew up.
Morocco has Ras Al Hanout, India, Garam Masala. Ethiopia has this, the brightly colored berbere. The color is amazing, and those guys who grind this stuff are covered with it. Breathe it all day long.
That's sort of magic, man.
Marcus left Ethiopia at age 2, so finding and reconnecting with his family has not been easy. Tracking down a mom who died in similar circumstances on the right dates, following a thread to a dusty village in the Oromo region, where Marcus found the man he has come to accept as his biological father. He also found Tigist, Salem, Zebani, Ashu, and Daniel, presumably his siblings by another mother. Together, Marcus and his sisters make dorowat, a classic chicken stew.
If you talk about all feel, and I need it to go back to New York and be the chef that I have to be. I really need this. Welcome to Segai family meal. Segai family meal. So we start with injera bread, right? Yeah.
Besides the dorowat, we have cabbage, beets, and collards, root vegetables finished with the livers and giblets of the chicken.
Actually, it looks spicier than it is.
Good. Very good.
Though a continuing bone of contention with his father, Marcus and Maya have sponsored the girls, moving them all to the city and getting them into school. In the countryside, these girls faced the likelihood of forced marriage, even abduction, and very little chance of the kind of future they might have now.
So how'd that go over with the family when you said, I'm going to try to help you?
I mean, my dad was like, absolutely not. We need them on the farm.
Right.
It couldn't have been done without Maya, that really not only translates, but also understands the culture. Because I felt also bad coming in as the quote-unquote American saying, okay, everyone should move to the city. It had to be gradually 2 by 2 by 2.
Right.
So when I had to pick which 2, I picked the girls because otherwise I should have been out of school by 2nd grade if she would have followed the tradition of the country.
2nd grade. That's it. What after that?
You stay, you work at home. It's been very enriching and loving, you know, for us. And we have a purpose. You know, we know what our goal is. Our goal is to get them through school. You're looking at a chemist in a couple of months. Whatever new Ethiopia you see, there it. Farmers coming in and going to school and now have options.
Addis is one thing, a city experiencing a renaissance of sorts, an economic boom. Outside of the city, the farther away one gets, one is reminded that in fact Ethiopia remains one of the poorest countries in the world. Marcus and Maya come from 2 completely different tribes, 2 completely different regions of Ethiopia with distinct languages and cultures all their own. Maya comes from the Guragi region, a more fertile, green agricultural area than Marcus's. It's about 3 hours out from the city, and it's beautiful. Maya, it should be noted, left home at a much later age. There's no question of identity. She's African, she's Guragi, and she retains close ties to her family and to her village.
Welcome to Prague.
Thank you.
She was here just last year. It's been 4 years since they've seen Marcus. Maya's mother, Bazunesh, and de facto grandmother, Owl, welcome us.
So it's like, go ahead.
When visitors come, everything starts with coffee.
Good.
Traditionally, it's served here with a bit of salt, not sugar.
Good.
Maya's story differs from Marcus's in a lot of ways. It was not disease or famine or poverty that drove her and her brother Petros to Europe and a new life. It was the brutal reality of politics.
So, who was your father?
My dad was my hero and everyone's hero. I mean, everyone, but my brother could explain a little bit more.
He was local chief, and also a member of the supreme or the highest court, you can say. During the Haile Selassie period, he was engaged in more innovative and experimental mechanized farm during the communist period. You know, something unexpected happened.
In 1974, Emperor Haile Selassie was deposed, and the very unpleasant General Mengistu and a hardline communist regime called the Derg took over the country. As in Mao's China, all agricultural property was taken over by the state and broken up into small parcels.
Everything what my father had, the land, the property, is confiscated, and those who had authority, they had the chance to work together, to cooperate, or they were enemies.
Right. Anyone deemed an enemy of the state, and this could be a very dangerously loose definition, but usually and typically included the educated, the well-off, and anyone associated with the former government, were hunted down, shunned, jailed, harassed, and often straight out killed. Maya's dad was all those things, an educated landowner, and part of the rural tribal administration from the Selassie time. Most people who had the means left the country.
I know this guy who is appointed, as governor of the region, killed 60 people in the region here in 3 years' time.
Nobody knows when he's coming.
Right.
So he just knocked our door, and my mom, she gets every time he comes, he give her bullets.
So
he tells her, this bullet next time is yours if you don't bring your husband. So my dad always came to visit us in nighttime, so he never been really home around during the daytime.
So for most of that time, your father had to live in hiding?
Yeah.
And we all survived by the grace of God. We are blessed for this.
Morning in Maya's village. Marcus is a runner. Every day, wherever he is, he runs a few miles. Me, not so much. But what with my cardio shockingly improved of late, I figured I'd give it a try. Maya and Marcus's return, not to mention the invasion of a big foreign television crew, is reason or maybe excuse for a big party, and preparations have already begun. Maya slips seamlessly from her other life as a high-fashion model back into her more traditional role in village life, working along with an army of other women to prepare what looks like a massive feast.
How do the ladies feel about you cooking?
This is, you see,
it's causing serious problems.
No, you already crossed it because you're the first foreigner ever in that kitchen.
A lamb, of course, must be slaughtered. Actually, in this case, 2 lambs, because here, as in much of Ethiopia, Muslims and Christians live side by side. One lamb gets the halal treatment, one for the Christians. It's a peculiar history of peaceful coexistence here, of which Ethiopians are quite proud. The Christians came here during the time of the apostles, from the very beginnings of Christianity as a religion. And the belief is that Muhammad, after being persecuted and driven from Mecca by the Quraysh, fled to Ethiopia, where he found refuge.
Dog is happy.
Oh, yeah.
Knife and blood in his face.
Oh, yeah. That's awesome.
The production continues. Women in the kitchen, except for Marcus, who looks most comfortable there, though his presence is a befuddlement to the others. Men taking care of the meat. Oh, bro food traditions, you're everywhere.
You know, none of the people that cook today, right, consider themselves cooks. But all of them, like...
Well, like in rural communities, when you kill a couple of animals, right, everybody in the village has sort of a chosen specialty. Like Joe Bob over there, he does the cracker. Somebody else over there does the boudin. Somebody else over there is like good at just scraping the fur off. Somebody else, but everybody's got a function. You know, it goes right back to the first fire. I mean, I'll bring the dip. You know.
Normally you hold it like this, and then you put everything you want in here.
Got it.
So you guys could take some, and then we're gonna take it around.
Perfect.
Goman and Ayib are greens, like collards, with a big hit of berbere and Ayib cheese.
I like the cheese. It's like a ricotta.
Lamb kitfu, prepared gurage style, laboriously diced, amazing.
This is all like inner.
Yeah, I got some of that. That's good. That's delicious.
Yeah.
This I love without reservation.
Barbecue. Now we're talking. Man, what a meal. Pretty impressive.
Then whiskey and music, and the party really starts going.
Thank you for coming to Ethiopia.
In 2004, at the prompting of his sister, Marcus began an exhaustive search for his lost family. Who was he, after all? Where exactly did he come from? Who in his family had survived, was left? Where were they? He was told that his father was still alive, living here in the village of Abrugundana, southeast of Addis. For adoptees looking to return, to reconnect, the journey is complicated. For Marcus, each trip has always raised more questions than it's answered. This trip is no different.
Every time, that last 5 minute drive, right? It just makes me nervous, makes me really, really excited and nervous at the same time, right? But it's just, take the American hat off and take the Swedish hat off, it's just a different grid.
This ain't 110th Street.
It is not. I come from a dusty place.
You're not kidding.
And they changed it.
They changed it. They made it big.
Yes.
I leave Marcus alone with his father. This is between them.
Maruko? Yes. Abragodana. Abragodana, I like it. I like Abragodana.
He wanted to see your foot, actually. He wanted to see how you guys look alike.
I wasn't ready for this.
Xavier is still linked.
Yeah, proof.
Good idea, actually. But he has a better foot than you do.
He does. And I wasn't ready for this.
So, how does it feel to be back? You seem, I gotta tell you, I gotta be honest, you seem conflicted.
Yeah, there's 1,000 thoughts going through my head. I always feel a little guilty that I got out.
If you'd stayed, what do you think you'd be doing right now?
I would have been a farmer or dealt with some type of cattle.
I'm pretty sure you would have been a shit farmer, Marcus.
I would have.
I can't see it, okay? You'd be the best dressed goddamn farmer, that's for sure. Where's home for you, man? Where do you think, I know, looking back on it all?
Yeah, that's an internal question for me, you know. I feel at home in New York. I feel very much at home when I'm in Africa, but I also feel out of place. And coming to this very place, Abrogorana, it gives me a lot of humility, but I can't say it's home. I can't say it's home.
Happiest moment in Africa?
Happiest moment is, I think, when we had Maya's village for me. The whole village comes together. Music, food, culture brings everybody together. That eating together, being together, it's by far the happiest for me.
We go up this beautiful mountain, this incredible town. It goes back to the 12th century. People trudge up the hill to the beautiful church to take the walk that Michael Corleone took. Now and forevermore, it will be sort of the Godfather theme park, where they're just playing the Godfather theme over and over.
I think most thoughtful Sicilians are disgusted by this.
Imagine that, waking up every day as one bus after another filled with Japanese tourists go up there. Oh, look, Michael Corleone got married there. Oh, it's so fantastic.
I took a walk through this beautiful world. Felt the cool rain on my shoulder. Found something good in this beautiful world. I felt the rain getting colder. Sha-la-la-la-la, 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 sha-la-la-la-la.
It's one of the most beautiful places in Europe, a place whose roots are very much the roots of the town where I live. But somehow I've never been able to get it right. To tell the story, any story, of Sicily. It's the biggest island in the Mediterranean. Two main towns are Palermo and Catania on opposite sides. I've done a show in Palermo before. It was an epic goat rodeo, a failure of humiliating scale. This time, I was going to get it right. There's the Sicily we know from films, an evocative, deeply felt history that's not quite reality, but cool anyway, right? There's the simple fact of its location, tucked away under the boot of Italy, part of, but not really part of that country. Its own language, culture, its own history of Norman, Arab, Spanish, Roman, Turkish, Egyptian interlopers, all leaving their mark and their influence. I grew up in New Jersey, which was pretty much Sicily on the Hudson. The Italian Americans next door weren't from Milan, I can tell you that much. I guess what I'm telling you is I figured this'll be easy. Villa Monaci della Terranera, a certified agriturismo, meaning it's a hotel, restaurant, and working farm that in this case produces olive oil.
How many acres of property do you have?
Tony, it's about 40 acres. It's one of the oldest organic farms in Mount Etna.
This is Guido, the proprietor.
Wow. So that's where potatoes come from.
How freaking hard can it be to make an awesome show in Sicily? Eat the nice food, drink the wine, in an idyllic villa in the countryside outside Catania. How low impact can it get? So the plan was, we go fishing. We get some fresh octopus, maybe some cuttlefish, explore the bounty of the surrounding waters, all while working on our tans. With a local chef, fisherman, man of the sea. He's experienced. He knows where to get it good.
Do you like sea urchin?
I love it. How do you say it in Italian?
Ricci.
Ricci, yes.
Ricci di mare.
One of my favorite things to eat.
This is Turi, my host.
What else is out there? Octopus?
Octopus, now it's also cuttlefish.
Oh, yeah.
And I like
sepia.
sepia, bravo. I want to try to find some small abalone, we call occhio di bue.
Nice.
And also there's clams. Here the water is still cold. I think they will be really full.
I'm thinking, really? Are these prime fishing waters? I don't know about this. With all this boat traffic and all these people and so close to the action, I can't see much of anything living down there.
Okay, perfetto. We anchor here.
But I am famous for my optimism, so I dutifully suited up for what was advertised as a 3-hour cruise. So I get in the water and I'm paddling around and splash. Suddenly, there's a dead sea creature sinking slowly to the seabed in front of me. Are they kidding me? I'm thinking, can this be happening? Splash, there's another one. Another rigor mortis, half-frozen freaking octopus. But it goes on. One dead cuttlefish, deceased octopus, frozen sea urchin after another. Splash, splash, splash. Each specimen drops among the rocks or along the sea floor to be heroically discovered by Turi moments later and proudly shown off to camera. Like I'm not actually watching as his Confederate in the next boat over hurls them into the water one after another. I'm no marine biologist, but I know dead octopus when I see one. Pretty sure they don't drop from the sky and then sink straight to the bottom.
How many we have octopus? 3? Yeah. Okay, I try to get some patelle now. And also some occhio di bue, small abalone.
Strangely, everyone else pretends to believe the hideous sham unfolding before our eyes, doing their best to ignore the blindingly obvious.
No, lascialo andare, non fare più nient'altro, lascialo andare.
Then they gave up and just dumped a whole bag of dead fish into the sea.
Sei colori, eh?
At this point, I begin desperately looking for signs of life, hoping that one of them would stir, become revived. I'm frantically swimming around the bottom littered with dead things, looking for one that's still twitching so I can hold it up to the camera and end this misery. But no, my shame will be absolute. For some reason, I feel something snap, and I slide quickly into a spiral of near hysterical depression. Is this what it's come to, I'm thinking, as another dead squid narrowly misses my head? Almost a decade later, back in the same country, and I'm still desperately staging fishing scenes, seeding the oceans with supermarket seafood, complicit in a shameful, shameful incident of fakery. But there I was, bobbing listlessly in the water, dead sea life sinking to the bottom all around me. you gotta be pretty immune to the world to not see some kind of obvious metaphor.
Buona.
I've never had a nervous breakdown before, but I tell you from the bottom of my heart, something fell apart down there, and it took a long, long time after the end of this damn episode to recover.
No longer we don't need to boil. We'll be ready without it.
Ma che fai?
Lo sto rompendo tutto così diventa morbido. Vedi? Ora la pulisco. Adesso se lo mangiano i pesci. Chi lo mangia questo?
Io. Sono preso. Io voglio la... Io. Me lo dai a me. Io voglio la...
Raw clams, abalone, and a heartwarming beach scene surrounded by a gaggle of curious and hungry kids. It was, at this point, about the only possible way for Turi to redeem himself. You'll notice I'm not there. I'm sitting in a nearby cafe, pounding one Negroni after another in a smoldering, miserable rage. Our evening meal will be at Turi's place, Osteria Nero d'Avola, which is just up the hill in Termina. But by the time dinner rolls around, I'm ripped to the... Did I mention it's my birthday? I've had 3 hours of bobbing around on a pitching boat, a couple more hours getting looped, 2 more hours lying on a sidewalk outside the restaurant while the crew hangs lights. So I'm gone, baby, gone. I don't remember any of this. Any of it.
So, how's your day today?
It's good. I was out on a nice boat trip, a little swim.
I would be told later that a gentleman named Tommaso had joined me for dinner. Also, someone on the crew mentioned that his wife was present and that she didn't say much. Presumably because this was not her preferred way to spend her birthday.
Hi.
Hi.
Tony. This is my passion. I like to find an old variety of olive, and one of these is white.
So that's the original?
Yes, the original. In fact, you don't find this anyplace else.
Apparently, there were these white olives, harvested from some secret tree only Turi knows about. Maybe it's next to his secret fishing hole. There was great Sicilian wine, apparently. And apparently I drank quite a lot of it. There was bread and olive oil. Abalone served raw in the shell. Baby sardine called neonata, also served raw with a splash of citrus and salt.
And this is the baby sardine, totally raw without much ingredients, to taste better the fish. Salute.
Thank you.
If you ask a Sicilian, right, say where you come from, the correct answer should be, I'm Italian.
What?
No, we say I'm Sicilian.
Wow. Is Sicily Italy?
Yes.
Should it be?
I don't know, but we used to have influence from Britons, Normans, Arab, Spanish. So basically we are a mixing. We are blender.
Oh look, my octopus. I remember personally catching that one. It was a mighty struggle too. No, actually, I don't.
Polybone? Yeah, the octopus.
Pretty. Oh, beautiful little shrimp. Very tender, the octopus. Very nice.
And another traditional specialty. I am told they call this tuna tartare. And cuttlefish. I recognize you, my friend.
Now, crudo like this, how traditional is this to Sicily?
I think from the part of the sea, they almost eat raw.
Always?
Yes.
But fishermen only, fishing communities only, or in restaurants? Always,
No.
as long as you've been alive. You go to a restaurant, you see crudo like this?
No, I see crudo in the poor family.
So it's not like there's Japanese influence, but the Japanese sort of gave everybody permission to eat traditional foods, their own traditional food. What are the great mother Sicilian classic dishes?
The anchovy. Anchovy and parmigiana.
Pasta con le sarde.
Okay, that's...
I think this is, for me...
With the sardine.
Yeah, but it's an explosion of flour, because this plate that it's Arab, born in a period when Sicily was very poor.
This I like. I even remember it. Pasta al finocchietta. Actually a true Sicilian classic made with fennel, pine nuts, saffron, and anchovy. Served alongside some sardines that have been curing in chestnuts and salt for days, then lightly fried in oil.
We have to use our hand. We have to use a hand to eat the fish.
No problem. I must have slunk back to bed somehow, collapsed into a sodden, drunken heap of self-loathing. I would ordinarily have turned on the porn channel and maybe loaded up on prescription meds. But there's no TV at the agriturismo. I love the films Godfather 1 and Godfather 2, but they had nothing to do with any organized crime from reality. They're opera. Magnificent opera, but basically a morality tale about loyalty and destroying the things you claim to love and want to protect. Actual organized crime members are, generally speaking, a bunch of spectacularly uneducated, lazy-ass sociopaths who have no problem stealing from their own harder-working neighbors. Here in Sicily, their interests are less glamorous than gambling and prostitution. They are, and have traditionally been, a gigantic, parasitical organism, one that has now grown to be of near equal size as its host. Mary Taylor Cimetti is originally from New York, but she's been living here in Palermo for half a century now. She's a food writer and at one time a reformer for social justice, which is a dicey thing to be here.
You've been here all this time. Well, why?
Well, I came for a year. It was going to be a year between college and graduate school. I just finished college. I met a man, and therein lies the tale. I married a Sicilian, and I've lived here ever since.
Piccolo Napoli. It's a restaurant like a lot of others around here, except for the quality of its food.
Tell me about, where are we, first of all?
Okay. The father and mother of the present owner opened this in 1951. And there's a wonderful photograph there on the wall of the opening day. It started as really a tavern and has become a well-known and much appreciated restaurant now. It's very straightforward Sicilian cooking at its best.
We start with some typical things, the kind of things I deeply love. The kind of simple good things that make me happy. Panelli, which is a fritter made from chickpeas. Some caponata, a sweet and sour eggplant dish, kind of like ratatouille, but more Arab in influence. A plate of olives, and some white wine produced from a small batch vineyard run by Mary and her husband.
So this is a panelle?
Panelle. Chickpea flour probably come in with the Arabs, maybe even earlier, because chickpeas have been around for a long time.
This is the famous caponata, about as Sicilian as it gets.
Yes, caponata and cannoli are the two internationally known Sicilian dishes.
This is what I've been waiting for. This is what I wanted Sicily to be, something to soothe my shattered soul. It doesn't take much, a bowl of good pasta. In this case, the famous spaghetti al nero di seppia. Spaghetti in cuttlefish ink. Also some calzarece al pesce spada. Pasta with swordfish, eggplant, and tomatoes.
Okay.
Ah, beautiful.
Grazie.
Perfect pasta. Very happy with that.
Good. I know you've been looking forward to it, so I'm glad it's good. Palermo's an expensive city for some things because the consumer is paying more so that the store can afford to pay its extortion money. The big change that has happened is that up until the mid-'80s, the late '80s, there were a great many Sicilians who thought if they were honest and didn't have anything to do with the Mafia, they could live without being affected by the Mafia. Apparently, 80% of the businesses in Palermo and 70% in the rest of Italy that pay extortion.
That's a lot.
That's a lot.
But not everybody pays the bite. A small but growing coalition of businesses have joined a group called Addio Pizzo, a grassroots organization taking a stand against the Mafia's traditional, near-total control over the food chain, from farm to table. I come out of the restaurant business in New York. You got taxed with every laundry order, every time they took your trash away. It was built in to all your basic services.
Here it's much more the going around. Christmas and Easter,
Guy comes by.
the guy comes by. I mean, it's plain and simple extortion.
Given that that's a pretty straightforward situation, some of these guys who band it together for Addio Pizza, I mean, what happens? The guy shows up and says, I'm not paying you. What happens next?
Well, apparently now, the Mafia has decided that it isn't worthwhile bothering with the people who belong to Addio Pizza. There's so many others out there, and why look for trouble? How true it is, I don't know.
Right.
To belong to Addio Pizza, you have to sign a pledge that you will not pay, and that if you are approached, you will go to the police.
Right.
Then they send you to lawyers and to another organization which deals with the people who are actually having trouble. It's incredibly complicated. I mean, there are no easy answers to it.
Right.
I mean, what about Big Farm? What about some of the things that are happening on a much more legitimate level?
I mean, who's more destructive worldwide? I mean, yes, you could make a very good argument.
That's horrible.
But
I'm upset because I'm sounding as if I'm making apologies for the Mafia. It's just, I think, what has happened, that having lived 50 years in Sicily, I'm much more skeptical than most Americans.
Right.
I don't know that...
I know what you're saying. You're saying you're not so sure that a mafia-free Italy would they be that much more functional. That's it.
No, absolutely. I mean,
I'm not so sure.
I'm not sure at all. I mean, but I am constantly amused by the fact that 45 years ago, if I said to Americans, I said, I live in Sicily. Sicily? How did a nice girl like you end up in a place like that?
Really?
Now it's on a farm in Sicily. How romantic. Oh, I envy you. So perception of Sicily
It has changed.
Has changed enormously.
In 2007, there were only 160 Addio Pizza members. Now, over 800. Pretty cool considering we're talking about a group who have demonstrated no regret or hesitation in killing judges, politicians, police, prosecutors. Back to Catania. And when you're talking late night dining options, you're talking one thing. The enticing smell of smoke wafting through the streets, a smell that's enticingly equine. I smell Rainbow Dash.
Oh no! Yes, yes. Yes,
Anthony and Marco, a couple of Sicilians and aficionados of Macelleria Aquinas.
This is vièvre biscito and San Cristoforo. It's one of the older side, famous, for families of mafia, that grows in crime organization here. Then nowadays seems, yeah. Nowadays seems to be like a bit more quiet because they are all getting arrested, so they prefer to sell meat against drugs.
So right over there, you can bet on a horse.
You can bet horses, yes.
Here
People
you
like
eat
to bet horses, and here you eat the one that loses.
Right.
The loser goes on the fire. It's not a nice thing, but I mean, sometimes happens for real, huh?
Cycle of life.
I'm gonna tell it.
All right.
Buonasera, buonasera, buonasera.
So why horse? Where does this tradition come from?
From Arabs. Maybe also the Egyptians. Then we have Greeks, 750 years before Christ. Then we have Romans, because we have to say that Sicilians are big bastards. We can say that. Yeah, of course, because we have been conquered by everybody. Also our dialect. There are many words that are understood by other people. If I say a Sicilian dialect word, maybe an Arab can understand me. An Italian, no, because the Italian language comes from Latin. It's something different. We are Sicilians before to be Italians.
Right.
Remember this.
Oh, no, I'll never forget.
Com'è bella, vero? Look, the patterned side of the meat. It's yellow, it's not white. When it's yellow, means that this horse has been breeded eating fresh grass.
Pronti? Procediamo? Procediamo con le mani? Perfetto, ok. Like this.
Tear and go.
Yeah.
Sure.
You like the taste?
It's good.
It's a bit sweet, huh? Simple, huh? You don't need nothing. Horse meat, basically, it's loved by quite everybody here, you know?
Sì, polpette. We can have also meatballs. Anthony, we can have also horse meatball.
Well, as you wish, man. Whatever.
Okay.
Whatever. I'll try anything.
It's a mix of different things, you know? Scrambled bread, Parmesan cheese, pecorino,
right?
Parsley, eggs, and of course,
And horse.
Horse.
I think it's very tasty.
Let's put it this way. When my daughter asks me for a pony, I'm bringing her here, pointing at that grill and saying, here's your pony. Parco dei Nebrodi is a national park, and within that is this free-range pig farm. They breed these special heritage pigs there, the black boar of Nebrodi. Combination of wild Sicilian boar and domesticated swine, thought to have been brought here from Spain long ago, this breed of pig is raising the profile of the pig here.
Smell of shit everywhere, eh? Look, they hear now the noise of the car. They will arrive. Fantastic.
Like any good-tasting, high-quality pig, the secret is largely, what were they fed? How did they live? Were they happy?
I'm a hunter. I never seen so many in once. It's like I feel.
You should be shooting something.
Yeah. È spettacolare, eh?
A poorly fed pig who lived his life in squalor, stress, and fear makes for bad pork. This is why we should treat animals well. Not just because that's the nice thing to do, but because it makes them provably more delicious.
Questo è un gran camminatore, riesce a fare roba come 30 km al giorno, per cui è un animale che vive salutare, vive bene.
Chestnuts, acorns, roots and stuff foraged from the hills, supplemented by some nice fattening grain during the winter months when wild food is less easy and less plentiful.
They catch here the animal only with a trap.
Right.
It's a shame that they don't let you shoot.
I like pigs. Not to hang out with, to eat. I don't have a tattoo of a pig or anything, but I like them fine. And when given the opportunity to shoot one in the brain, or see one shot in the brain, so that I may sup on its entrails and other parts, I'm down. That's what's called cheering me up from some manic depression. Bang, and this pig is like Paulie. You won't see him no more.
What's that?
Even with the brain dead, the heart still goes on beating, sort of like, pick a Kardashian. In this case, however, those last few beats of the heart are absolutely necessary to pump all that red cravi into a bucket for sanguinaccio. The salt helps keep it from coagulating prematurely.
Allora, io sto levando la fibrina.
Yeah, looking good.
And so fast, incredible.
There's a Kardashian joke there somewhere. Kim gets ready for the big day. It's date night at Chloe's house. Real housewife gets ready for summer. Grooming tips from Teresa Jeanette. I got a million of them. Let's hope Kanye never has to see this. Oh.
We hang now. Vai. Vai, no sentite.
Then get to work.
Okay. Very fast, eh?
All those good bits, the lungs, kidneys, they get cooked slowly in fat with garlic, chili pepper, little wine.
Is the meat also what? The liver?
Sì, fegato, cuore, un po' di salato, vino, forse questo poco di gatto.
So it's all the interior.
All at the interior with a little bit of fat.
That's like pork confit.
Yeah.
That's pretty.
Meanwhile, the intestinal casings get filled with blood and gently poached until creamy, bloody delicious.
Yeah. Come duro, amore.
And a nice spread of homemade cured meats, local cheese, and homemade wine. Let the party begin.
So, what do we have here? Let's identify these products.
Capicola?
Capocollo.
That's the
This
sliced
is the
prosciutto.
prosciutto. Yeah.
Lardo.
Lardo.
Pancetta? That looks good.
Anche quella.
Guanciale.
The cheese is a local. It's a provola dei Nebrodi. This is the ricotta, and it's just cooked in the oven.
The bread?
The bread is from the uncle. And they have also salame, and they have sausages.
And this cheese?
Perché non è un maiorchino, è una canestrato.
And what do you call the dish?
Frittura che si fa dell'interiore.
L'interiore.
Yeah, the interior just on a pan.
Right. Beautiful. Interiore. That's good.
Oh, the best moment of the day.
Indeed. Oh, yeah.
What do you think about the cheese?
It's good. Yeah, but you know, for me, the ricotta, really good.
I think it's a complete country, this place. You discover Sicily in an aspect that I think that very few people know. This is incredible. Even the bread is the old lady that she made.
Oh. You think of Sicily, you think of family, you think of food. This is more like it.
Spaghetto numero 7, Talea! Numero 7, spaghetto, ai,
Pepe, dai, mangialo, mangialo, mangialo!
We'll stop here for the shrimp.
Catania, the early morning market. It's been going on for longer than America's had a country. It's old, I tells you.
They know you here? You shop here often?
Yeah. This is not Tommaso's first trip to the market by a long shot. His mom is a regular. She comes here almost every day.
The eggs.
And you see, this is a mix-up. You can find here everything. Each butcher, more likely they have their own specialty. Fresh ingredients, you know, it's kind of,
Baby lamb?
Yeah, baby lamb, the sausage, the hamburger, the polpette. That is the pecorino normal. At least it's about 6 months old, at least. Oh, over here. This is the place where she buy the spices for home. And the veggies.
This is what the market is best known for, seafood.
Buongiorno, caro. This one is one of the biggest resellers that we have in the fish market. You can see also the variety.
Yeah.
We consider the tuna like a pig. We don't throw away anything. See, this is typical. You can find all here.
Oh, those are the tiny, tiny little clams,
Right,
yeah?
yes. This is another thing as well.
Oh, whelks.
In Sicilian, they call mucuni. You can see the shrimp normally still alive.
So I see cuttlefish, sepia, baby...
Yeah, baby sardine.
Swordfish.
I'm joining Tommaso for lunch today. Mom's cooking, so we gotta do some shopping.
Shirley. Oh, buongiorno, come stiamo comendo questo gambero?
They look beautiful.
Yeah, the color is beautiful. And buongiorno. So we'll go have a little crudo today. So the shrimp and
baby sardine.
Grazie. Buona giornata. After you. What do you want to try? Blood sausage?
Sanguinaccio.
Sanguinaccio, allora. Allora, un pezzettino per assaggiarlo.
Just blood? No onion, no spice, nothing. A little spuddy, though. A little salt?
Condiscelo tutto, poco poco.
A little pepper?
Sì. Ben salt.
Okay. Now you squeeze it?
No.
The
right way, yeah.
Questa sì, è italiano?
Sì.
Trippa.
Trippa, sì. Questa è la cordiola.
Sì.
Oh, man.
This is the intestine rolled up with salt.
Ah, that's good. Usually, I don't like tripe plain. I like it in a sauce or spicy. That's good. That's very tasty. Looks like hell, tastes like heaven.
Yeah.
If you like this, you're Sicilian.
You're right.
I don't have any grandparents. My mom, I guess she cooks, but the last time she ever invited me for dinner was like 1972. So given that tragic, dysfunctional, too much information kind of history, is it any mystery why I'm always on the lookout for grandma? Anybody's grandma will do. Hell, I've been known to cruise rural state highways, looking for hitchhiking grannies to abduct, so they'll cook for me. And given my fragile emotional state, it makes perfect sense that I've dragooned Tommaso's mom into making me a nice lunch. Is that heartwarming or like creepy and sad?
Hey.
Hey.
It smells good in here.
Let's go open wine in the meantime. All right. No?
Cheers.
Chin.
You need any help chopping parsleys? Ah, perfect.
For lunch, we got the shrimp and sardines from earlier at the market. But first, this.
Let's grab one.
It's like arancini, but with a hollowed-out potato filled with cheese, breaded, and fried.
Ooh, delicious.
Basically, what we do to finish the potatoes ready and fill with all the cheese.
Yes.
The dip in the eggs to seal the potato.
Right.
And then the crumb bread and fried. My mother used to cook for everybody, even if it was midnight. My parents' house was the focus of over my friends.
Right.
So when you have to do something where you want to share some time all together and they have dinner, so my mother's cooking for everybody. Because the problem here is that when she cooks, even if she knows that only for 5 people, she cooking for 10.
Just in case.
More caponata. This is Sicily, after all, and this is the classic starter. Also, a bread and tomato salad.
Would you like to try something?
That's old school.
We toast the bread, make it a little bit harder. And normally we do with bread at least 2 days here, two days old.
Right. It's really good. Really, really good. That's Sicily right there.
Right, yes.
Fresh shrimp sauteed in garlic, butter, and herbs.
I've noticed over time, as I travel around the world, that every great and enlightened culture, when they were confronted with a shrimp or a prawn, right away.
That is the way you see if it's fresh or not.
Yeah. So, typical day, when you were 15 years old, what did you eat for lunch?
We'll never missing pasta for lunch.
Pasta and meat, or pasta
Yes,
and fish?
And fish. Of course, something locally. Basically, you have to go right behind the corner to find your products. So whatever we can produce in Sicily, that's what we choose to buy.
Watch this, you're gonna zip the bone right out. Out comes all the bone. Who needs a knife?
Sardines filleted neatly, sauteed in garlic and oil, a little red pepper.
That's a beautiful thing, right there.
Botticelli, gliela messo?
Well, I'll tell you, in another 2 hours here, I'll be speaking Italian. Well, I'll be speaking Sicilian.
Freddo no buono, caldo sì.
Yes, you have to eat it hot. This is very nice. Yeah, really, if you don't like this, there's really no hope for you.
Ah, Tommaso, diglielo, chi è che non ti piaceva fare queste cose? Che non ti è piaciuto?
There's something that you don't like it.
Everything is fantastic.
Tell her because she.
I'm so happy. This was a delicious meal to eat in this beautiful home with some really good home cooked food.
Grazie.
My last night in Sicily. And after this, I'm going back to New York, crawling under my bed and adopting the fetal position for like 6 weeks.
Can I cut some vegetables?
I may look normal. Okay, I don't exactly, but I'm not barking uncontrollably or running around shrieking with my pants wrapped around my head, which is what my instincts are telling me I should be doing.
For me, one of life's great joys is cheese.
No, I'm eating cheese, which makes me happy, always. And drinking wine, good wine, and a hell of a lot of it. And I'll just make it over the hump with any luck at all.
So we have a mozzarella here, a pepperoncino.
Sì.
You can start with that one on the middle.
I will.
Turi joins me for a final meal along with Antonio, Guido and Guido's girlfriend, Ada.
This is an agriturismo. This is not a concept that exists in America, but it is a concept that should exist. Okay, now please explain what it is.
Agriturismo is an hotel linked to the territory. You have to use local product, local recipe.
Penne with sun-dried tomatoes, zucchini, all from the farm.
Oh man, that looks good.
Wow, 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 wow. Fantastic.
Whoa. Some nice rabbit, olive oil, also from the farm. More wine. I might just make it.
What now? This is called coniglio agrodolce, sweet and bitter. If you talk about Italy as a whole, it is the most interesting aspect of Italian cuisine. I mean, not just gastronomically, but philosophically, because it is a philosophical thing. Life is too good. I need a little bitterness to remind myself of the eternal tragedy of our existence.
You are right, the part sweet and sour of the life.
One final attempt before I go to extract something meaningful on what it means to be Sicilian.
What's wrong with these people in the north?
People from the south are coming from this Greek stream culture, where the philosopher, while in the north, the Austrian came through. You know, so very
that's the harshest, meanest thing anyone could say. Oh!
Very practical people, and figured out that the last century, the 3 best writers in Italy are from Sicily.
Because they consider us just like a weight when there are problems.
Right.
But finally, on summer, they all come here to make vegan. It's a good thing for us, you know?
In the end, it all comes back to the Godfather.
We go up this beautiful mountain. It's this incredible town. It goes back to the 12th century. There are few places on earth more beautiful. But there we are sitting in what? It was like a Godfather theme park. Oh, look, Michael Corleone got married there. Oh, it's so fantastic.
You know, I just look at these people, you know, with the Godfather T-shirt, you know, on top, and I say, oh my God.
Why people get stuck on this I love the Godfather movie? Because there is this big sense of family.
Michael had many options. He destroyed his family. And everybody, everything he touched.
In a way, it's fair.
So it's fair.
Coppola did a good movie, for sure.
Coppola, he didn't f it up.
No.
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 ¡Ale! ¡Fuego, fuego! Granada, Granada mía, barco de la morería. Ya están aquí, los gitanicos del Arbecí. Ya están aquí, los calocillos del Arbecí. ¡Burro! Ya están aquí, los gitanicos del
I always feel slightly oppressed by beautiful vistas. You know what I mean?
Granada mía. Ya, ale.
I took a walk through this beautiful world. Felt the cool rain on my shoulder. Found something good in this beautiful world. I felt the rain getting colder. Sha la 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 la, sha la 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 la, sha la 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 la, sha la 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 la.
The storybook kingdom of Granada. One of the oldest, most complex, magically surreal places in Spain, and one of the most beautiful. Granada is tucked against the Sierra Nevada mountains of Andalusia in southern Spain. It's not like Barcelona. It's not like San Sebastian. It ain't Madrid. Any reasonable sentient person who looks at Spain, comes to Spain, eats in Spain, drinks in Spain, they're going to fall in love. Otherwise, there's something deeply wrong with you. Spain's the sort of place that never really made any sense anyway, and in the very best possible way. This is the country that gave us the Spanish Inquisition. Also, anarchy. This is where devout Catholicism mixes with surrealism, modernist cuisine with traditional tapas. Christianity and Islam traded places, shared space, and the effects and influences of all those things are right here to see.
You can almost look back through time and through the mists of history, see the Phoenicians marching up across the Vega. Or are those feral hippies?
An influx of international hippies, many of whom appear to have set up squats in the caves up the mountain, have made things interesting.
If they ask what we're doing, we should say we're staging the moon landing.
Wherever you are on the ideological spectrum, however, some things are constant, it seems. Some stereotypical expectations. It's true, there are free tapas everywhere. Yes, they do actually take siestas, which is a civilized damn thing to do, far as I can see. Flamenco? Yes, they do that also. But in Granada, they do it old school. And oh yeah, bullfighting. They do that here too. But I digress. I'm here, actually, to answer a question. What happens if you go over to the other side? Say you grew up in the States and, like a lot of us, wondered, fantasized about what it would be like living abroad in old Europe, surrounded by crusader castles, delicious food, another language, another culture. What would that alternate life, that road not taken, be like? My longtime friend and cameraman from Maine, Zach Zamboni, is finding out.
So where are we going?
Right here, one of these tables, which maybe we want to do like this with. See, how often do you get to go out with somebody that can properly block the table?
It's a misery, it's what it is.
Oh boy. Gracias.
Yes, of course.
Snails in an almond sauce. About as traditional and as delicious as it gets.
That's a plate full of perfect happiness.
Good tapa, huh?
That's right, tapas come from here. And this is still one of the few places in Spain where they're free. All you have to do is keep drinking.
You can sit here all day. Just ordering a couple of drinks and...
Right. No rush. I plan on spending some time here.
Red wine ordered, tripes to follow. Tender, spicy, delicious tripe.
Sun, plaza, guts. Pretty good.
Hello. Hello. You're Addis, no?
Not too long ago, before Zach basically defected to Spain, he met Fwen. And next thing you know, he's living here, part of an extended Andalusian family. Eating the ham, drinking the wine, living the life of the Spanish dandy. In freaking Granada, no less.
Classically, culturally speaking, do you want a sensitive, nice, caring, thoughtful guy?
Well, it depends on the woman, first. But usually we look for this kind of person that we know he will protect us.
From what? Feral hippies?
For example, you know, or...
I would love to do the vows at your wedding. Do you, Zach Zamboni, swear to protect Gwen Sanchez from any attacks by feral cave-dwelling hippies who might attempt her to sell her jewelry or other things of little value?
It's actually pretty cool,
I figured now that Zach is marrying into a Spanish family, I can piggyback along for a bit. Suck up a little of the magic. Live a little bit of what has often been my dream, too.
But if we can get weird for a second here, man.
Oh, boy.
Some places, do they have an energy, man, about them?
What are you saying, man?
You know, I don't want to get into metaphysics or, you know, some places we go.
You're gonna be living up in a cave. You keep talking like this. More wine.
To see Spain, to see it straight, to understand it at all, you should probably peek, if only through spread fingers, at that most Spanish of traditions, bullfighting. Meet Alfandi, one of Spain's most dashing and respected bullfighters. He's invited me to La Marquesa's ranch, a private bull ring where he likes to practice.
So what they're gonna do now is they're gonna check how brave.
And if the calf's not brave, stew.
Exactly.
Along with me for the day, Fuen's brother, Alejandro, who, like many Spaniards, consider bullfighting an art. Today, a little practice first. And don't worry, this guy is too young to fight.
So this is the red cape, you know, that this is the most important cape, where they make all the art, all the poetry. Yeah, exactly. All that.
Why the cape, not the map?
Because it's moving.
So that's important.
That's important.
You don't want to be moving.
You don't want to be moving at all. It seems they get more attractive.
This guy clearly has spirit. Right away, he tries to take a poke at Zach's femoral artery. Promising.
Venga, now's your time.
I don't think so.
Sure. Now's your time. You and him. He's gonna teach you.
Yeah?
Sure. Okay.
No one likes to look like a pussy on TV. So when Alfandi jokingly suggests I join him in the ring to wave a pink cape at an aggressive young bull who just moments ago charged my cameraman, I said what any idiot would say. See? It all starts well enough. Hey, this is fun. This is easy.
Ooh.
Until I get a horn hooked right up next to my nutsack. Then it's not so fun.
Thanks, guys. Oh, man.
This youngster shall live, perhaps to gore future TV hosts with his mighty horns. Now this is what a real bull looks like. This is a whole different thing. 500 freaking kilos of aggressive charging four-legged killdozer aiming at your meat and two veg.
That's a lot of muscle.
That's a lot of muscle. That's a big bull.
And no matter how big, how strong, how scary, for this intrepid reporter who's seen many animals die for his dinner, this part is never easy.
So as you see, he puts the cape lower, so the bull brings the face forward, showing the neck. That's it. Good one. That was really good. And yeah, that's it.
Hey, it's time for stew. Bull stew. Our friend went to a better place after all. Like a big pot where he simmered slowly for hours with local herbs, onions, and potatoes. Nothing like a roaring fire and a spread of Iberico ham, homemade chorizo, Spanish cheeses, bread, and good olive oil to take the sting out of a near genital mutilation.
Nice.
Looks good, eh?
No es mal sitio para venir, eh?
It's not a bad place to come, right?
No. Now he started at age 19.
Desde pequeño me ha encantado y siempre he jugado al toro, ¿no? Pero la primera vez que toré en público con toros pequeños fue con 14 años.
If you were a little boy growing up,
Yeah.
you aspired to be
Exactly.
a bullfighter.
The matadors were the original rock stars, the very ideal of masculinity, male beauty, and grace. That runs deep. Like it or not, you should probably know this before dating a Spanish guy. Me, I'd happily see an end to it tomorrow, but there is no denying the terrible beauty of a very complex tradition.
It's not about winning. It's not about killing the bull. And nor is it about being just skillful. No, you have to look good doing it too.
Yeah.
Are there any like really ugly ass bullfighters? Like a really out of shape,
A matador with a muffin top. How do you call a muffin top?
Un matador con barriga.
Sí, no todos.
Hay de todo. It seems there's a little bit, yeah. There's a bit of everything.
Interesting. Well, it was an education today and a great meal. Thank you.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Holy Week, or Semana Santa as it's called, observed all over southern Spain with a seriousness and a fervor you might not see elsewhere. For the 7 days leading up to Easter, nearly every city in Andalusia gets taken over by ancient processions. To an outsider, it's an impenetrable montage of confusing yet deeply evocative images. Figures in dark hoods loom up from every direction. Smoke pots of incense, candles, religious imagery, and the crowds. Flashes of Goya and Velázquez, dimly remembered impressions of the Inquisition. Okay, watch this. These guys got to get their painstakingly crafted, massively sized, and incredibly heavy and cumbersome float through the door, down the steps, and out into the street.
But the women who escort the Virgin, they wear candles to light the whole way to the cathedral.
Pedro is another of Fuen's brothers, the youngest, and when not working for an IT company in Ireland, he does this. He carries crushingly heavy religious floats. They're called castelleros, and they devote months of training to this.
Man, that thing's huge.
Yeah, they're moving, it's huge. And this is very heavy throne.
The Virgin float, about 3,500 pounds total, and precise dimensions that have to make it through the door just so. The bearers have to kneel, crawl along with it on their backs to get it through the door. And the main event. Ready, set, up.
You know, crying the whole time. The music.
Let's face it, I like a procession and all, but who likes a bunch of guys in hoods coming in your general direction? I don't. Frankly, it creeps me out. Time for a drink, perhaps. This is Tabernaculum, as best I understand it, an Easter Jesus and Mary themed drinking establishment where between drinks, one can ponder the agony of the Christ, but with sausages.
Is it like this all year or just over?
It's the whole year.
Whole year, it's always like this.
Whole year, yeah.
Wow.
They have incense whole year, Easter music whole year.
Now, is this a week for quiet contemplation and worship, or is this a party week, or both?
Both of them.
Throughout the course of the week, over 40-odd processions will creep slowly through these streets. There are different brotherhoods, each with their own sacred colors, crests, insignia, and so on. It's their medallions and particular Christ images that adorn the bar. And frankly, they're kind of bumming me out. Maybe it's just me, but when I'm getting a nice late morning buzz, I don't particularly want Jesus looking down at me from, like, everywhere.
How drunk can you get here? Don't you feel like a little guilty, like getting really drunk here?
Yeah, of course.
Whoa, morcilla.
Morcilla.
This is one of my favorite things.
This is your favorite thing?
Yes.
Try it. It's amazing.
Gaze away disapprovingly all you like, Jeebus. I am happy now. Overlooking Granada, the hillside of Sacromonte is riddled with caves, many of them older than anyone even remembers. Spanish gypsies, or gitanos, have lived here in caves turned homes like this for hundreds of years. They call this a juerga, an informal, intimate, and spontaneous performance, what jazz musicians might recognize as a jam session.
This is it, Granada. The only place in the world where you get to see real flamenco in a cave.
Alicia, like just about everyone in Granada, is an aficionado.
Ale, esa guitarra buena granadina.
Our host, Curro, is a poet, historian, and a patriarch of the Gitano community here, an icon of the flamenco world.
Gitano, you see traveler Roma people, are more embraced by the culture here than most other places in Europe.
Well, we have our own gypsies. Those are ours. Yeah, well, I can tell you 3 things that we do here. We do flamenco, we do tapas, and we do siesta. Which
You do them well.
Yeah, we know how to live, don't we?
Yeah.
Ay, adiós Granada, Granada mía, y ya no volveré a verte, ay más en la vía, y me da pena, ay vivir lejos de tu vera, del sitio donde reposa los restos de mi morena. En el aire conmovido mueve la luna los brazos y enseña lúbrica y pura sus senos de duro estaño. Dentro de la fragua lloran, dando gritos los gitanos. El aire, la vela vela. El aire la está velando. Y como quiere, gitana, que te quiera. ¡Ay! ¡Ay, ay, ay! ¡Tata! ¡Ay, tata! ¡Ay, tata! Y empuja al columpio, y empuja al columpio, y empuja al columpio más. Empuja al columpio, y empuja al columpio, y empuja al columpio más. ¡Ale! Vamos a tomar una copita. Una copita que hay 100 años para vivir, para dormir, para follar, para todo. Temperamento puro. Son la sangre que nos hierve a los gitanos. ¿Has visto cómo es? Tiene 16 años. Hacemos una música que es de nuestra raíz. No se hacía preparado para echarlo a los espectáculos. Era una música que se cantaba dentro. Tanto en la pena como en el llanto, como en la alegría, nosotros cantamos.
They dig deep for their material here. It means something. They're telling you something about themselves.
What is the word? Duende.
Duende.
What is duende? I've heard it. What?
Duende, el artista llega a lo sublime.
Is it an emotional state or a technical?
No, tiene que ser pasión. Se queda en éxtasis. Entonces pasa mucho cuando estás enamorado. Y es enamorado, pero no eres correspondido.
Is unhappiness necessary for great art?
Es necesaria para hacer un trabajo magnífico.
Ooh, they didn't even have to think about that.
Tienes que sufrir en ese momento. Luego también sale muy bien cuando estás agustico.
And then you perform very well after a couple of this.
Right. I may not have duende, but I have Valentine's.
Viene el duende cachondo. Es un duende más cachondo.
Cachondo. I know that expression. Wait a minute.
Ew.
Nighttime in Granada. And it's time to pursue that greatest of Spanish traditions, tapas. You may think you know what a tapa is. Like if you've had small bites at some fusion hipster bar where they do a whole lot of little plates. Yeah, that ain't a tapa.
So how often do you do this a week?
I do it 5 days a week.
Dude.
It's rare not to do this. But, you know, it's like on a weekend you come out for a bunch. Weekday, you come out for one.
This is La Tana, a little place run by sommelier Jesus and Luisa, brother and sister. One bartender, one cook, taking care of everything.
Tapa is for free. That's the main issue of the tapa.
So you're just paying for the wine.
Exactly.
So if I were like a degenerate wino, I could still eat well. As long as I can afford my wine, I'd eat.
Cheers.
Let us put this theory into practice. With our first round of drinks comes this.
Salmorejo is tomato with bread, garlic, olive oil, and blended.
Yeah, I could pretty much eat that all day long.
That's right. Tapas are free. It shouldn't work, but somehow it does. Another drink, another tapa.
Tomatoes, olive oil, bread.
Yeah. Awesome. And this tortilla for me is just amazing.
So all I gotta do is keep drinking and I'm gonna eat like a king.
They'll keep feeding you, yeah. Although, maybe you'd be interested in caviar here.
Really?
Yeah.
That's not included with my...
Well, that's another point of the tapas. Usually you have a few tapas and then, you know...
You start to get hungry.
Yeah,
exactly.
You ask for a portion.
They're just hooking you in with it.
So it's all a scam, man.
It is a scam.
Yeah, a couple of little nibbles. Next thing you know, you're ordering 200 grams of caviar.
Caviar ain't free, my friend. Delicious, entirely sustainable Spanish caviar from farmed river sturgeon.
It's fun that you can come into a place like this, get...
Bread and tomato.
Yeah, or...
Some high-test caviar.
Ho, ho, ho.
You guys are gonna eat the whole thing in one food. I'm gonna...
Sorry, is there something wrong with that? Not even married yet. It's nag, nag, nag. Next place, let's do it.
Tapas. What a novel concept. There's even a verb for it, tapayar, meaning to take tapas. As in, if we go to tapayar some more, we're gonna have to elbow past this crowd of Catholics here.
Is it extra insane because it's Santa Semana? Yes, but it's always busy here, man.
Oh boy.
The bar we were going is just on the other side.
Maybe we go around.
With parades crisscrossing the city in every direction, the steady drumbeat warns that your route is about to be cut off entirely for the next 40 minutes.
We can cross. We can cross.
Zach, we have to go around.
Where? Going around, going around, going around.
But we need to walk fast.
Perdón, 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 gracias. Perdón, señora.
Es que no se puede que estar paso ya aquí.
Sí, pero no hay mucha gente, dos gente atrás, es solamente aquí. Perdona. Perdón, gracias.
People take their processions very seriously here and aren't exactly accommodating to anyone who threatens to block the view.
That was amazing. Right? Really cool. See, tell me there's not some duende in that music. Come on.
It is some duende in that music.
There's some duende.
Finally, bar number 2. Oliver. This place is always packed. Beer, please. And with it comes a delightful tapa of mussels steamed in butter and olive oil.
Well, that's awesome. Look at that. That's a great tapa. Come on. This is what's different.
Right.
People come in here and they will eat like this, perfectly happy, perfectly content to forgo the table, come out here and stand around and eat like this.
Gwen's glass of wine comes with fried eggplant and honey, which sounds to me like it's Moorish in origin. More wine accompanied by these delicious little clams.
Oh, yeah.
In the main event.
Oh!
Now we are talking, yes.
These langoustines, however, are not tapas and consequently not free, but worth it at any price.
That's so totally awesome. Oh, we did good work here.
Anything else, Tony? Should we go on?
No, let's move on.
All right.
Let's move on.
As this death march of tapas continues, things start to get a little weird.
This is the story of my life. He doesn't do this at home, does he?
No, thank God. So now I understand what you feel. Well,
Yes.
Every
Good.
day.
Finally. A little empathy. I do like the increasingly meta aspect of this show. I should really be live streaming. Now we can really be interesting.
Finally, Bar Gallardo, just making it before closing. Now let's be honest, we've had a lot to eat and drink at this point. Some restraint needs to be shown.
Little fried fishies? You don't want
Dude, if you want to
pretty
eat
things?
okay, fried fish.
Little ones.
Little ones.
Then we're done.
And cheese.
But instead, 3 more beers, 3 more tapas. Cheese, bocarones, little fried smelts, and chuletitas, baby lamb chops.
These are super good.
These are super good. See, I'm uncomfortable. The idea of something for nothing.
Right. It's not something for nothing. It's
It's
all...
$3 for a glass of wine. It's something for nothing.
Yeah, but if somebody can get the math right in the U.S., this will take off.
No, never.
Really?
We will never have tapas culture in America. Ever.
Really?
Ever. You're looking to change the entire day from the minute you get up in the morning in America, nap in the afternoon. Are you out of your mind?
I want to be able to go down, walk to my bar. I want to have a little beer.
Yeah, I want a golden unicorn that shits money. Both of those scenarios are equally likely.
Every storybook kingdom needs a castle. Granada, it's got a good one. The Alhambra, one of the most enchanted, inscrutable, maddeningly beautiful structures ever created by man. Built on top of 9th century fortifications by the Nasrid dynasty and added to as history unfolded through wars and tragedy and invasion and conquest.
On the outside, it's very bare. All you see is these tiny windows.
Right.
And it's projecting impenetrability. But then you come in here.
Zach has gone, well, let's call it what it is, a bit mad about the place. The details, and there are a lot of them, can obsess a man. Plus, he's a cinematographer, so you can understand, once you start to really look around, how that might get a grip on a guy whose profession is the intricate play between light and darkness.
My theory is that they're trying to weave nature, calligraphy, symbols. These are all inscriptions within here. Inscriptions turned into graphics. You know.
Right, because in Islamic art, you're not to depict works of God.
Yes, but what you can depict, and this is what this entire place is geometric systems.
Yes.
When the Nasrid dynasty lived here, it was a harmonious space where light, shade, water, the transit of the moon and the stars were harnessed and glorified.
I think the best assumption is nothing is random. They came here and laid out everything according to
A plan, man.
This was a place for reflection. Each element of design presumably intended to have effects both psychological and religious.
It's really a cinematographer's paradise because everything is about light and math. Obviously, they weren't cinematographers, but everything is framing for them.
How long did it take them to build this?
Hundreds of years.
That's why it takes so long for you to get the shot. Oh, snap.
In the builders' time, engineers, astronomers, mathematicians were like priests, magicians, possessors of divine knowledge of how the universe worked.
Did they want to contemplate nature, or did they want to conquer it and control it?
I mean, they were certainly trying to emulate it. You know, all their mathematics were really trying to find out how nature worked, particularly square roots and the repetition of pattern.
They saw mathematical patterns in the sky and on Earth, the way water moved and rippled, the way things grew, a simple pine cone, a fern, a pomegranate. And they thought about the basic truths these things might represent.
These symmetries can all be shuffled, spun on any point, and they align again with themselves. So if you stretched them out, for them they pointed to infinity.
We will understand all things.
Through contemplating sacred geometry.
How did nature unfold, pattern itself? Could the basic designs of nature, even if divine, be replicated in this magnificent structure.
Trying to solve the riddle of God here.
Exactly.
An hour's drive from Granada, the Mediterranean. Unlike much of Spain's coastline ruined by real estate speculators and overdevelopment, the coast around here in Almeria is largely unspoiled. I'm on my way to a moraga, a tradition in these parts best described as the local version of a beach barbecue. Working the grill, Chef Juan Andres Moria. He heads the highly regarded El Claustro back in Granada. We're joined by fellow chef Rafael Luque and some friends.
Efe, you are killing us with some good-looking food here.
Yep. Some of that simple yet magical salmorejo on toast.
Oh, it's one of my favorite things.
Yeah, amazing.
Dried tuna, flavor-packed like tuna prosciutto.
We normally put some olive oil.
Oh, 100% extra virgin from Granada.
Yeah, it's quite spicy and bitter.
Oh, that's good. Oh, so good. Spain is a beautiful country. We're not even eating yet. It's good. Ooh, it's like a...
Paté
Paté?
de morcilla.
Oh, sweet. Wow, mas. That is like the best thing in the world.
You want to eat the whole thing?
This? Yeah.
Yeah.
Chocolate. This is the chocolate of the gods.
Some grilled octopus and sea bream. Oh, and some nice pork tenderloin. And my personal favorite, a particularly delicious morcilla, fresh blood sausage.
Yes. I feel some duende coming on. I could just squeeze that like this. I'm telling you. Sexual metaphor coming. Beautiful. Just feeling him is... Yeah. Looking good. Wow, look at that. A lot of fat.
Yeah, it's quite nice.
Those were happy pigs. Lazy pigs.
The ones we like. The ones we raise here in Spain.
Yeah, the pigs and the bulls are very happy here until they're not.
The moment of truth.
Okay, enough of the work. Let's eat. Nice.
Mucha grasa.
Wow.
Es grasa, carne, muy vetado. Mucha beta.
Está bueno, ¿eh?
Awesome. Great meal, dude. Great meal. This is the dream of all the world.
Yeah.
The dream is to live in Granada. You know, work in the morning, have a 1 hour nap in the afternoon. At night, go out and have that life. You know, go out and see your friends and eat tapa and drink red wine and be in a beautiful place. You know, to have this kind of music and this food and this kind of culture and to look out the window and to see Spain.
Probably one thing.
Yeah.
Family.
Yeah.
Family is very, very, very important.
Right. See, he did it right. He's marrying into a Spanish family in Granada.
Right.
Cheating, man.
Yeah,
Very
he's
smart.
very lucky.
I know.
And a smart guy.
Right. Look, no one's going to dare dream of this because this is too much to dream for. This is extraordinary. But an ordinary life in Spain looks pretty good to me.
The new swinging Zamboni lifestyle. Rise early, like 9 a.m., then it's down to the corner coffee shop for a cafe con leche on basso. Maybe a small breakfast like toast with tomato, pan y tomate. No more than that. Light, simple, because there will be a lot more eating and drinking today, and you want to be ready. By 2 p.m., he's made his way back uphill to Mom's place.
Every day, I come here for lunch.
Este es nuestro momento cerveza.
And I walk in, and she says, get us 2 beers. So I'll get 2 beers from the fridge. and watch her cook.
No, es que mira, espera. Salud.
Everybody's home for Easter. Maria Jose, Zach's soon-to-be mother-in-law, and Eloy, that's Dad, plus Alejandro and Pedro, the soon-to-be brothers-in-law, who you've already met. What this nice family doesn't realize is they aren't just gaining a son, but also an annoying, half-drunk, and extremely hungry Uncle Tony.
And I know what happens here.
Yeah, so let's, okay.
Jamón, sitting there, ready to be carved.
En España hay un refrán que dice que las buenas inyecciones son chorizo y jamones.
But you know that Zach had to prove us that he was able to cut the ham before he proposed to my sister.
I think that's a completely reasonable policy.
Eventually, the appropriate hour for lunch approaches.
So, not to embarrass you publicly, but Maine is not exactly the Mediterranean of America. Let's put it that way. How is he adapting to the Spanish lifestyle? I mean, let's face it, he's a Maine
He's more
boy.
Spanish than me.
Really?
Yeah. At the beginning, the first week, he was like, oh, I don't understand how you guys can take siesta. Week after, I need a siesta.
It's interesting to see how you made the transition. Cheers.
Cheers.
Esto es un remojón granaíno. Se toma en Semana Santa, sobre todo en Granada.
First up, this. Bacalao salad. Salt cod, egg, black olives, oranges, tomatoes, dressed in olive oil. Remember, this is Holy Week. Maria Jose is preparing recipes that go back through the family so far that nobody knows exactly where they even came from. Migas, another iconic dish of Andalusia. Informally referred to as the shepherd's lunch, as the story goes, born as a way to use old hard bread and combine all the week's leftovers. I'm told that every household in Spain has a variation. What changes is what you put on it. Today, it's sardines, cod, chorizo, melon, and peppers.
Oh man, that's a lot of good stuff in one bowl.
Yeah.
So how often do you eat this well?
Every lunch is like this.
Every lunch
Every
in your
day
life.
when I'm here. But lunch is
Big.
Big lunch. Siesta, seguro.
Right, luego siesta.
But you can't, I used to try to resist siesta, and you can't do it here. Society will not accept you not taking a siesta. But that's the flow of life here.
That sort of begs the question then. While I'm busy hating you for your life, how often are you getting drunk a day?
Twice. 1.5.
I don't get drunk any day.
Veces estoy borracho?
No.
No, es normal.
Él no se emborracha ahí solo.
That is so Spanish, by the way. You're like, everybody would have a very distinct opinion and it'd be completely different. It's like,
Es
this is a
típico.
fact.
And someone would come and say, well, whatever.
When my time comes, I pretty much want to die at a table like this.
No eggs, big guys, no.
Good work, Zamboni. Good work.
So Zach, you happy with the show?
Hope I don't suck on television.
Dude, I think I'm sitting a pretty low bar. I'm gonna tell you this relaxed lifestyle, lounging around, eating and drinking, and no nap is long enough for me. Nah, life is good. I envy you, Zach Zamboni. And we're out. Nice end.
Some people must live in great spaces, where the sky goes on forever, where everyone must bend to the land, where to hunt, to fish, to sleep under that big sky aren't activities, but a way of life.
It was between here and those mountains that Cheyenne and Crow battle took place. But I like it. It's very peaceful, huh?
What was it like 100 years ago, 200 years ago?
Oh, not much different. This was never forested. This is the dry side of the river because the primary winds come from the west. The rain tends to blow over here. That brings the snow to the mountains.
Legendary writer and poet Jim Harrison is one of those people. and this is his home.
I took a walk through this beautiful world. Felt the cool rain on my shoulder. Found something good in this beautiful world. I felt the rain getting colder. Sha la 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 la, sha la 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 la, sha la 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 la, sha la 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 la.
Am I as old as I am? Maybe not. Time is a mystery that could tip us upside down. Yesterday I was 7 in the woods. A bandage covered my blind eye. 68 years later, I could still inhabit that boy's body without thinking of the time in between. It is the burden of life to be many ages without seeing the end of time.
Next time you turn off a news cycle filled with shouting bobbleheads, convinced that America is devolving into a moronic inferno, questioning the greatness of your nation, maybe you should come here. Here are your Purple Mountains' majesty. This is the landscape that generations of dreamers, despots, adventurers, explorers, crackpots, and heroes fought and died for. It's one of the most beautiful places on Earth. There is no place like it. Montana. Many have come to claim their peace over the years, but before the prospectors and explorers, there were the Plains Indians. The Absaraka have been master horsemen since they adopted Spanish-introduced Mustangs in the 18th century.
General Blackjack Pershing, he called the Native Americans the centaurs of the plains.
Better known as the Crow, they were once part of the larger Hidatsa tribe. Centuries ago, they split off on their own and wandered or were pushed by conflict with the Blackfeet, Cheyenne, and Dakota until settling here in the Yellowstone River Valley.
That horse became everything to our people.
Kennard Reelbird grew up ranching and raising horses here at Medicine Tail Coulee, which happens to be the exact spot where General George Custer had the worst day of his life. Kennard raises horses for rodeo, for riding, and for this, Indian relay racing.
The athletic ability on them kids are just amazing. The competition is intense.
They travel all over to compete at this collarbone-smashing, skull-cracking, bone-snappingly dangerous sport. Former allies and former blood enemies alike.
Required a lot of courage.
I'll bet.
And a high threshold for pain. It's representative of warrior mentality.
One rider, 3 horses.
When they're lined up, gun goes off. It's like a spontaneous combustion.
Top speed is around 40 miles an hour. And after each lap, the rider dismounts at full freaking gallop and leaps, hopefully, onto the next horse. Yes, it's as dangerous and difficult as it looks. The prizes at big events run into the thousands of dollars, but really, it's about bragging rights. And pride.
Being in motion, in rhythm, in time, and in one with that horse, you develop strength of character. And once they conquer that fear, that feeling of accomplishment is so great. When they walk back from that race, they have this sense of pride and self-worth is sky high. Now they've identified with their ancestors.
Ken's wife, Diane, has prepared a lunch of buffalo steaks, potato salad, fry bread, and Indian pudding made of juneberry stewed with flour and sugar.
When I looked at my ancestors, they didn't have diabetes, they didn't have much cancer. They were very strong, durable people. And I said, well, I'm going to start eating nothing but buffalo.
Over the course of your life, how much has this area changed?
Quite a bit. We went and picked up a four-wheeler last Sunday, be the first four-wheeler on the place.
Given those changes, what are the Crow people going to be doing in 20 years, 30 years? The horse going to play an important part in the culture still?
I think so, yeah, because what's a place going to be like without horses? I wouldn't want to be there.
Who owns this land? Can anyone really own it? Who gets to use it? These are big questions that cut across traditional ideological lines out here, where they have real meaning, not theoretical meaning. All this belongs to one man, this guy, Bill Galt.
Hey, we're about a half mile from the confluence of Rock Creek and the Smith River.
Galt Ranch is 100,000 acres of grazing land, mountains, cliffs, and valleys. There's also some of the best trout fishing on the planet.
Bill, the water level on the creek looks good.
This is Bill's friend, the author and journalist David McCumber. They disagree on land use, a major issue. Remember when you could do that and still be friends? Lee Kinsey is a professional outfitter who Bill leases some areas of his property to for fishing.
All this to outwit a fish.
I know.
It's amazing.
All right, go ahead. Stop that tip high. Put that thing straight up in the air. Good, perfect.
Bill's a fifth-generation Montanan whose principal business is raising cattle. He's no weekend cowboy. This is work, and he pays a lot of attention to his land. And a big issue for him, for just about everybody around here, is the 1985 Stream Access Law.
Anybody that could access a stream via a public means could in fact use the stream, even if it was on private ground, as long as they stayed within the ordinary high water mark of the stream.
Widely heralded by sportsmen and outdoor enthusiasts, the law did not go down well with landowners like Bill.
Oh, got him. Something took a bite.
Yep. He's still got a fish right in there, too.
Oh, I see him.
Perfect. Hoop, set. Whoa! The fish of the day. Nice brownie.
All right.
Woo!
Beautiful thing. That's pretty. But I will not eat you today, my friend. Not today.
For lunch, a modest, protein-centric repast of steak, a Wagyu Angus hybrid bred and raised right here on Bill's ranch.
There's the marbling and a Wagyu steak. That's what makes them good.
Oh, that's nice.
And it's pretty damn tasty, I can tell you.
So you hold an opposing view, is that correct, on access?
The idea behind the stream access law, that if you stay in the water, it's public. I agree with that concept.
But where do you draw the line for private property rights? State were to pass a law that your restroom was public because the public needed it in your house.
Right.
But just because this isn't my backyard doesn't mean it's any less mine than your toilet is yours. We still pay taxes on every foot of it.
I'm an old school lefty, but I gotta say, I kind of completely understand the property owner's point of view here. There'd be no ambiguity in my feeling if I'd inherited this land, it had been in my family for generations, and I looked around at it and wanted to keep it like it is. If I were to go to a bar in town, and I would ask, how do you feel about this issue? Where would it break? What would most people say?
If you're a fisherman or a landowner.
Clearly divided right down the middle.
But, a lot of people are going to say, when I was a kid, I used to be able to go hunt and fish, and I can't now. Stuff's getting closed off. I have some sympathy for that.
Anybody that's not complying with stream access merely has to step into the stream when he hears you coming.
Right.
The spirit of it it makes sense.
The spirit of it's thievery.
Yeah.
We own it, and they took it, and that's not stealing it. Without compensation.
I think it's still here.
This is about being a good neighbor, right?
Yeah.
I mean, so if people ask nicely more often than not, you're gonna say yes?
We do. Used to be, before stream access, we seldom required somebody to have permission if they just behaved themselves. After stream access is when the outfitters came into the world. Not because we wanted to make money, but we wanted somebody there patrolling and policing it. The outfitters take care of it.
A small stream like this can only take so much pressure.
It really can.
And so we try to manage it, fish it responsibly, and if somebody wants to walk all the way from the Smith 5 miles up to here and do it legally, I say all the more power to them.
That's what I'm saying.
At first look, you'd think this is the worst place on earth. A ravaged, toxic, godforsaken hill, threatened from above, riddled with darkness below. But you'd be wrong. Butte, Montana. It is in fact heartbreakingly, poignantly beautiful. The Gallus frames seem eyesores for only a second before it becomes clear why they're points of fierce pride for locals, for whom they signify and commemorate everything.
For Montanans, many people consider it sort of a black eye. I happen to think it's sort of the essence of Montana.
Aaron Perrette was born in Butte. He's a professor of literature and a chronicler of the city's colorful literary history.
There is something beautiful about this city, right?
Yeah, the enduring decay.
Like in Detroit or a Buffalo or Cleveland, you can see the aspirations of the builders or the people who they were building for.
As I've gotten older, I kind of think about it the way Europeans romanticize those ruins in Greece and Rome. Butte is America's Acropolis.
In its heyday, Butte produced tens of billions of dollars worth of copper that built, well, America, that helped power the country, defend it against Germany and Japan. Without this hill, no copper wire, no electricity. At the turn of the century, Marcus Daly's Amalgamated Company consumed its competitors and became Anaconda Copper. By the 20s, the company, as it was referred to, was one of the largest corporations in America, generating staggering wealth by today's or any day's standards. People came from all over the world to make their fortunes here or simply for steady work, a better life.
Cornish, Welsh, a lot of Eastern Europeans.
Croatians, Serbs, very ethnically diverse.
By Montana standards or by any standard?
I would say by any standards, that's kind of a micro version of New York City.
Meaderville was an Italian neighborhood and developed a tradition of supper clubs. Lydia's was opened in 1946 by Lydia Micheletti in the 4 Mile, the valley below Butte.
So what is a supper club? I've heard about this tradition, but I don't really understand what distinguishes a supper club from a restaurant.
At least in Montana, the supper clubs are a variation on Meaderville style. It involves this antipasto beginning.
Sliced meats, sweet potato salad, salami and cheese, side salad, pickled peppers, and breadsticks.
Then when you actually get your entree, you get, oddly enough, ravioli or spaghetti, or here, both, but also French fries.
Odd.
That may be unique to Montana.
For entrees, seared scallops and white wine sauce for Aaron. Me, noticing we're pretty much landlocked around here, I go for the extra thick tenderloin of beef, thank you very much.
This is wacky. It makes no sense.
It is somewhat bizarre to have scallops and French fries.
Yeah. Meaderville no longer around.
No, it's not. It was swallowed up by the pit in the early 60s.
For the first 70 years, it was hard rock mining, blasting and digging tunnels deep into the ground. By the 1950s, mining was moving increasingly to above ground, open pit, which meant fewer jobs and a bigger, more visible footprint. By 1955, the Berkeley pit had become the largest open pit copper mine in the world. As it expanded, it devoured Meaderville and surrounding neighborhoods. There was money down there to be dug out of the ground, and that's what Butte had always been about from the beginning. In 1983, the pumps that held back the groundwater from thousands of miles of tunnels beneath the city were turned off. The pit filled with 30 billion gallons of water. And as mine tailings and mineral refuse contaminated the water, it became a giant, insanely toxic lake of sulfuric acid. A monument to greed and heedless exploitation of the earth, and something eerily, if tragically beautiful.
If you're still living here, you've got to have some kind of weird, perverse pride in the pit.
Absolutely.
I mean, correct me if I'm wrong.
No, you nailed it. Obviously, the pit is an enduring emblem of that rapacious capitalist greed, but you also have people here who are proud of where they live. And the history of Butte, in many ways, is, you know, this town that should have died, but never did. Part of that is luck, geographically, but also the character of the people here. You know, they endured.
As you might have gathered by now, this is a working-class town, and unusual in that it's a union town, a proudly union town in an otherwise very red state.
Butte is the most interesting, important town in America that nobody knows about.
Bryant McGregor is the owner of the Silver Dollar Saloon in what was once Butte's Chinatown.
So we call ourselves Butte America.
Amanda Curtis, a former state congresswoman, was born of the labor movement. She's a unionist, an advocate for workers, and this solidly union city she calls home.
When you got off the boat in Ellis Island, it said Butte pinned to your shirt. And it wasn't Butte, Montana, right? It was Butte, America. We were founded by European immigrants who came from socialist countries with all of these crazy socialist ideas.
Would you say Montana, in a stereotypical way, is relatively socially conservative?
Oh, absolutely. But Butte is a labor town.
Nobody knows anything about union history. You know, they don't teach it. When the country was at its peak, unions were at their peak. When wages were at their peak, unions were at their peak.
That was then. This is now. This is the era of I got mine, Jack.
That's what makes Butte different. It's not a I've got mine.
It isn't.
It's
Why?
Truly not. Union is together. We've grown this community out of taking care of each other.
You have to remember what it was like here for workers before unions, if you can imagine. Men worked underground for as little as $3 a day. 10 to 12-hour shifts, 6 days a week. Thousands died over the years in industrial accidents or from silicosis, lungs ravaged by the airborne silica dust.
You don't have any rights in your workplace unless you bond together and have a collective voice.
In a one-company town, despite hiring assassins and strikebreakers, Butte's thousands of workers successfully managed to unionize. Labor costs increased while copper prices slumped. Anaconda responded by moving their production increasingly south, way south, to Chile, where such impediments as labor laws and fair wages were more malleable.
We serve as the example about what happens if you allow unfettered capitalism.
But isn't there something beautiful about unfettered capitalism? Though? Because look, this structure here.
We powered the entire world.
As long as they're making that money in the goddamn United States of America first.
Right.
I feel I'm a patriot. And if you're taking jobs away from America to export them overseas.
You're not.
You're not.
And we've been talking about this for decades in this country, right? Or keep our jobs here.
Yeah.
Time sinks slowly to the deepest part of the ocean, the Mariana Trench. She's tired of light, and there it's pure black.
They say that Butte is a mile high and a mile deep, and to get an idea of what they mean, you've got to go down deep into the hill. An intricate warren of tunnels riddled through the rock and soil that lay beneath the city was flooded forever by water and darkness. The Orphan Boy Mine is one of the few remaining hard rock mines in the city. Today, it serves as a training facility for the Montana Tech School of Mines and Engineering.
There's 5 generations of mining here. In order to survive and provide the resources for America, these people were super skillful.
Jim Keene is a state senator and labor advocate who grew up working the mines of Butte.
How many miles of tunnel under Butte total?
10,000 miles of tunnels.
10,000 miles.
And I
like
figured,
this.
Like this. Only smaller, usually.
Larry Hoffman is a longtime mining engineer and instructor. Matt Krattinger is the new guy. A hard rock miner by day, he likes to relax by spending his free time down here, playing.
I come mining for fun on my days off.
Okay.
It's one of those things that just gets in your blood. You got a lot of pride in it.
These guys like it underground. And even more, they seem to like drilling holes deep into the rock face.
You want to drill?
Sure.
Pull that out. Now you get to feel where the weight's at on it.
Oh, yeah. Cool.
You do that several hundred times a day. No. It gets good.
Sweet.
The community recognized the miner was at the top of the food chain. When I grew up, he was considered just like a doctor or a lawyer because everybody knew
he was the one making everything work. The other thing about mining is it's so intensive. I mean, you need engineers, you need guys running ventilation, mechanic or a carpenter or a pipe fitter. It's just such a diverse asset to have all these different types of people. That's what was so good about it.
Mining was always dangerous, but these men are proud of what they do and of the generations who came before them, who built neighborhoods and schools and helped power the nation.
They loved their work, they raised their families, they worked all the time.
It was a destination with hopes and dreams of hard work leading to a better life.
You know, the company's a son of a bitch, let's face it, but they were our son of a bitch. So you know, that's just the way it was. The community worked to support the people. Here's the fun part.
Cool.
Well, how many holes do you usually drill to make a round?
Between 20 and 30.
What is a round?
This pattern has to be drilled out. And every time you advance the face, that is a round. You drill it, you load it, you blast it, you muck it, you bolt it, you drill it again. And that's a cycle. We're in the loading process right here. They call collar priming or top priming this hole. Split, still away.
Back in the day, it was dynamite. But in the 60s, they started switching over to this stuff, ANFO, ammonium nitrate, and fuel oil.
Okay, so we got everything charged up, loaded. Now we get to time it. This is kind of where I got hooked on mining. As soon as I set that first round off, it was, how do we do another one?
Dude, fascinating.
This is where it all starts.
All right.
Right here.
Everybody got everything out?
Four seconds of silence. All right, everybody's good? Everybody's ready?
Yep.
All right. Fire in the hole!
One, two, three.
That's deep.
Welcome to mining.
That's deeply satisfying. Oh, yeah. Very cool.
Can we see the smoke?
What is that, vented out?
Yeah, the smoke will start moving towards us. You gotta get in the smoke.
Oh, yeah. Smells like victory.
This is the smell of mining.
We'll see if it all works as planned.
That shockwave is awesome.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
This is like being an astronaut right now. You go in there, you're gonna be the first person in the world to see what you see. Right.
Did you break it?
Yeah.
Nice, huh? Happy with your work?
I'm very happy with it. Everything came out just the way it should.
Well, that's another 6-foot advance.
And that is a round.
Beautiful thing.
Yes, it is.
I fell in love with the dark and the blowing things up and the people.
The people's a big thing. You meet some of the most interesting people.
About 1/3 of Montana is public land. It was set aside for the people of the United States of America. Generally speaking, it is intended for multi-purpose use: timber harvest, grazing land, hiking, fishing, hunting, and mining. These open lands are important to hunters and anglers like Dan Bailey. He's the Montana representative for Pheasants Forever, an organization working to conserve pheasants and other wildlife through careful management.
So this is a piece of property that's owned by Pheasants Forever. It's open to public access. This is through Montana's block management system. We sign in, they collect all the tags, they know who's on the property.
Today, me and my friend Joe Rogan are going after some delicious pheasant for dinner.
Yeehaw, ladies and gentlemen.
Joe is, of course, the voice of the UFC and the host of the wildly popular podcast, The Joe Rogan Experience. In recent years, Joe has become an advocate for the notion that you should, whenever possible, know where your food comes from.
The connection that you have with your food when you kill it yourself, it's a totally different experience.
I believe that if you choose to eat meat, that there should be a little bit of guilt and shame involved. Something did die. So there should be a sense of loss and an understanding.
Right here, this is it. I mean, you know where your food comes from. That's the smallest circles you can get. Hey, Tony, the 3 things we can hunt here are Hungarian partridge, which is a small bird in the big covey, sharp-tailed grouse, and then rooster pheasants.
So no hen pheasants. I'll call out what it is.
Yeah, I'm gonna wait for you, because I sure as hell wouldn't be able to identify them.
So we'll get one person on one side of the jaw, and one person on the other, and I'll run the dogs through the middle.
Which way they're gonna break, do you think? Anyway, could be any.
Any which way. We're hoping over us. Hen.
What happens if you accidentally shoot a hen? You get in trouble?
For yourself.
You've heard about the walk of shame? So you have a split second to determine whether it's a shootable
bird
thing. Okay, well, we're counting on you.
That's a rooster.
I got a shot at that, too. That was an easy shot. Shit.
Some days.
Yeah, one of those days, huh?
Public lands in Montana, we're fortunate we have a lot of them, but, you know, they get a lot of pressure, and so when you get one of these birds, it's pretty special.
Public land hunting is always a lot of work.
In general, anybody and everybody can come out here and chase your bird, so. There's a bunch of birds right there.
Yeah.
See them going through the trees there?
I saw.
A bunch of pheasants just got up. Let's get serious about this.
All right.
We'll take these dogs to the river. Rooster! Oh, nice shot. Dead bird. Gotta get up on that bank.
Who got it?
Anthony got it.
Nice. I missed that one over here.
Good boy. Come, bring it here. Come on. Good boy. Come on, Junger. Nice shot.
Thank you.
Bring it here. Come on. Drop. There you go. Montana rooster.
It's good eating.
Bird.
All right, man. Start plucking.
With one in the bag, we meet up with the rest of our party to cook and drink and eat. Lan Tawney is a fifth-generation Montanan and an active conservationist. Hal Herring is a journalist for Field and Stream. The pheasant is cooked two ways: marinated in soy and fish sauce, sriracha and lime, browned in butter, and buffaloed like chicken wings, or dredged in flour and Cajun spice, sautéed with garlic and brandy, then braised a bit with stock and wild mushrooms. Collard greens and bacon as a side serve as a nice cleanse.
Man, these greens are good. And the bird's delicious. Oh, yeah. Man, amazing day.
Eating it today.
It was beautiful today.
Why should people in New York or San Francisco who've never hunted, in what way does your access to hunting ground impact on this nation in a positive way? Why should they care?
Well, it's not hunting ground. It's public ground. It's owned by the people of the United States of America.
And I just see our country, it's very nuanced. And private property is bedrock. But public lands have worked.
But you're talking big government stepping in and saying, we're taking all this land and we're going to protect it from exploitation by capitalists.
Public land management is not perfect for anybody, but it's a path forward. It's not happening anywhere else in the world. And the reason that it came here is because we are such a great country. But as we move into the future, it's going to take everybody understanding how unique it is to America.
To say that hunting and conservation are intertwined
is an absolute fact.
It is an absolute fact, but it is a really painful admission that we are the masters of this environment, whether we like it or not.
As thinking beings, we're the only ones in the food chain that understand the consequences of the imbalance. And therefore, we do have a right to take care of this thing and manage it. When it comes to animals that can alter their environment, we're unique.
You know, I'm not a hunter, obviously.
We hunted all day today. If you take a shit, you're a shitter.
I don't... My daddy didn't take me for the long one.
That's what it is.
You shot that pheasant. We're eating that pheasant. There's no closer connection to food almost than that.
I think there's a fundamental misunderstanding by people that don't hunt or people that call themselves animal activists that we don't love the animals as much as they do. And that's just not true.
We do what we do because we love Mother Nature, we love wildlife, we want people to enjoy it. You know, three of us, we have decided to spend what we do for a living to protect wildlife and to protect access and to protect hunting heritage.
They're fellow living beings that live in a very hard scrabble life. They're howling right now because they killed something, whatever it is. They're letting all the other coyotes know, and they're gonna eat it right now, and that is what they do.
You know, have you ever been out on an open body of water where you're just surrounded by the ocean or the desert? or here, actually, for that matter. Right. You do begin to understand your place in the universe, meaning at the end of the day, I'm not that different from that pheasant I shot today.
We're all in it together. The elk and me and the wolves, what we do to the world, we do to ourselves. We're all in it together.
As the evening progresses, the bourbon flows and the fire burns down to coals. A late-night vape with Joe, and the earth seems to shift on its axis. Later, stumbling out of my tent, I find myself somehow no longer vertical, looking up at a magnificent bewilderment of stars. Livingston, Montana may be one of the prettiest and oddest towns in America. It's also one of my favorites. Originally a railroad town, a place where cattlemen could drink and philander. Then later, a gateway to Yellowstone National Park. In the 1960s, the surrounding Paradise Valley was a popular setting for Hollywood films, and local ranchers began to see a strange mix of creative types showing up. First to work on films, but later to stay and play cowboy for real. Writers like Richard Brautigan, Tom McGuane, and Jim Harrison. Actors like Peter Fonda, Warren Oates, the notorious director Sam Peckinpah made Livingston their home. The Mint Bar opened in the 1920s and holds the oldest liquor license in Montana. Railroad workers used to drink here. Everybody drank here.
Look at that picture of the bar right there.
Yeah, that picture is this building during Prohibition. It was a grocery store.
My friend Dan Laron is a jack-of-all-trades native son, a hunter, fisherman, and a key figure in the life of the town.
I mean, this is a rough-and-tumble railroad cattleman town, right?
Yeah.
Why did they put a railroad stop here?
It was X far from Minneapolis and X far to Seattle. It was kind of middle ground, 700 miles that way, 700 miles that way.
Right. Who would exemplify the qualities that a preponderance of Montanans would aspire to?
The American Indian, the Plains Indian that lived here before white man, because it was a tough place to live. You know?
When's the last time you walked outside and you looked at those mountains and you said, I possibly live in the most awesome place on earth? When was the last time that happened?
I do. I never take this place for granted. Okay, it's one of the most beautiful places that I've been, and I like to enjoy the outdoors. Take my son hunting.
Right.
You know.
You know that moment when an animal dies and they look at you and there's a look in their face, I always interpret it as, I'm very disappointed in you.
Yeah, well, as an older hunter, I'm feeling more and more remorse for the animals that I kill. And that's why I use every part of the animal that I can. I have respect for that creature.
I always felt like, look, whatever this thing I shot, I will treat it the way I would like to be treated. I mean, you're gonna shoot me. Please, don't just leave me there.
Yeah, don't just rip my breasts out and throw my ass away.
Yeah, that's a country music song right there. Don't rip my breasts out.
Time. She prepared us drifting through our lives like clouds, riding her like the gentlest of horses. You know, if you're seeing northern lights and a thunderstorm in the east and wolves howling all at once, it's sort of nice. Do you know there are 90 billion galaxies? I get a little tentative when I hear that.
Jim Harrison is a colossus, a legend, and the last of his kind.
People forget children grow up making up stories, and that's all I'm doing as an adult, you know?
He is one of America's greatest poets. The author of 39 novels and books, many set in Montana, including The Legends of the Fall. He's a screenwriter and gourmet. In his food memoir, The Raw and the Cooked, he chronicles many, many epic meals. He has lived a life that can only be imagined. Dan is his friend and confidant, and the two have for years hunted and fished together.
Here's to the game.
His health prevents him from hunting, but not from enjoying a meal of spatchcock Hungarian partridge.
I made a liver loaf with elk meat, elk liver, and pork fat.
Awesome.
Some spices. Gonna have some beets, quail in aspic.
Quail en gelée.
En gelée. Elk carpaccio.
And a morel and chanterelle risotto using a stock made from 10 pounds of roasted game bird bones.
And smoked trout?
Smoked trout, yeah. We caught these on the Bighorn.
You know, this is my problem in Montana. All this primitive country-ass cooking that you local yokels do. Oh, and a risotto with wild mushrooms. It's awesome. Every time I come here, I say, are there others like you?
Yeah, a few.
That risotto is gorgeous.
Excellent. Jimmy, you want to grab a hun right here? Okay, and a couple of morels.
Is writing any way to make a living?
No, not largely.
I try to explain this to people. You have to be either a monster of self-regard, delusional, or just so lucky that, I mean, the forces of the universe are aligned against you.
Yeah, the only thing you can do is if you're just completely tenacious and right in disregard for every outside circumstance that there is. Most people look in the mirror and say, you know, I'm getting old or something like that. But Shakespeare, the poet, said, devouring time, blood thou thy lion's paws. That's a little better, huh?
Nice view. I cannot complain about this.
Yeah.
So what are you doing? Around half a year here and half a year in
Arizona.
Arizona.
Real interesting culture. Ever-present Border Patrol, which I tease a lot. I'll be hunting and their Border Patrol plane flies over and I run under a tree like I'm hiding. And then their vehicles start swarming in. They say, Harrison, you asshole. I said, I'm trying to keep you on your toes.
What was it about this place that hooked you?
Well, I'm claustrophobic, acutely so. So Montana's about the best place you could live. You never feel hemmed in. Any direction you could go miles and miles. It had been very hot for 3 weeks, so I worked well into a cool night when at 3 a.m. a big thunderstorm hit. The lightning was relentless 200 years ago when the Cheyenne from the east attacked the Absaroka in this valley. A group of the Cheyenne were Masom, the wolves of heaven, warriors who painted themselves solid yellow. I want to be a yellow wolf of heaven. They disappeared into the lightning.